Infinite projection room begins with the projection of Ultron's world destruction. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 826, Victor's Enlightenment in Dragonfield. Bruce Wayne, are they your creations? Arceus, I guess so. I created the world, and the laws of the world gave birth to them, so they are indirectly created by me. In some worlds, my clones personally gave birth to the three of them. Tony Stark. 3. Who is the third one? We have time and space, so what happened to the third one? Arceus. Giratina from the reversed world. A group of people didn't understand what Arceus was saying at all, but watching the battle between the two giant beasts that shook the stability of time and space on the screen, it was not difficult for everyone to believe how strong the Giratina from the reversed world was. Bruce's persecution delusion, which had just been suppressed by the penalty card, began to relapse. He couldn't help but think about what he would do if this creature defeated the world they were in. Peter Parker, shaking the stability of time and space has serious consequences. As the god of creation, you should at least take care of it. We have experienced a time and space disturbance before, and we almost couldn't go back. Arceus, I have countless worlds under my command. As a guardian, I must resist the dangers from the outside world. The affairs inside the world are generally handed over to my clone. Bruce Wayne, does your clone have the same memory as yours? Arceus, of course, so I know what happened next, but the screening room requires me to maintain the etiquette of watching movies and not reveal the plot. I will not tell you what happened next. Loki Odinson, oh. Then can you tell me what your clone is doing? Arceus, sure, he was injured and is recovering. Bruce Wayne, can he fight a clone of the god of creation? Dr. Manhattan, is this the threat from the outside world you mentioned? I really want to know the specific details. Arceus, no, he was injured by the human I created. At this moment, question marks were flying wildly in the barrage of the live broadcast room. The video continues. The roar of time triggered a time turbulence, and Porkia was unable to use the guard skill successfully when facing this move, because of the skill stiffness cut off by the subcon, and was forced to use the pink pearl on his left arm to resist this attack. The countless mysterious totems active in the space-time interlayer were in trouble, causing the space-time turbulence driven by the roar of time to be swept to nowhere. The six wings behind Porkia spread out, fighting and retreating. The figures of the two beasts just disappeared in the gap of time and space. Is this the collision of time and space that the young man mentioned? Bruce repeated word for word what the young man had read from the diary of the man named Gordy. Two beings that could not meet, met in the gap between time and space. The mutual collision of time and space. Anger enveloped the entire town. However, all the E's will begin to collapse. From the information just now, we can decipher that the two beings that could not meet are the twin gods of time and space, and the place where they fight is the gap between time and space. Bruce Wayne, the god of time and the god of space cannot meet. Arceus, this statement is wrong. It's not that they can't meet, but there are no suitable conditions. Arceus, the identities of the three of them are quite special. Even among all the law-based life forms, the three of them are the most special. They all have territories independent of the ordinary life world, the time basin, the space basin and the reverse world. The four worlds are independent of each other but interdependent, and have a special connection with each other. Arceus, the territories of Dialga and Porkia will cause collisions in some extreme cases, and both of them will think that the other party has invaded their own territories in this case. In addition, some small situations make them restless, so they start fighting. Strange, is it like a dimension attached to the earth? If heaven and hell collide with each other, angels and demons will definitely go to war, no matter what the reason is. Dr. Manhattan, I'm traveling in the multiverse. In my opinion, two independent universes seem very close, but in fact they are extremely far away. This is not a simple distance in space, but a more complex understanding. So I'm very curious about what causes the world to collide. Dr. Manhattan, the concept of absolute is just a paradox. As long as time is long enough and there are enough variables, even the smallest probability will happen. Dr. Manhattan, can I ask you to give me an answer to what exactly causes a collision of two worlds? Arceus, there are many reasons. I have been protecting my world since I was born. I have witnessed the collision of two worlds with my own eyes. In your understanding, you can understand it as the collision of two multiverses. The single universe is constantly destroyed and merged under the collision of two multiverses. That is the most magnificent thing I have seen in my life. It is a spectacle that cannot be described in words. Dr. Manhattan, did two multiverses collide and merge? I really hope to see it with my own eyes. Everyone has become accustomed to a group of big guys talking about the multiverse at every turn. After hearing it more, people will inevitably have this idea, maybe I can't do it in practice, but can't I do oral gymnastics? Most people here have a certain immunity to the grand scenes under the shock and baptism of shocking pictures again and again, but our newcomers don't think so. Doom was so shocked that he was speechless when he saw the battle scene of the two gods of time and space. The screening room will allow the audience to face the most restored scene within the maximum range that all audiences can bear. In other words, it provides the best picture quality within the maximum range that the graphics card can bear. For example, Peter, because he has faced too many monsters and demons, and even promoted himself to a part of the monsters and demons, Peter can bear the highest picture quality and experience the battle scene of the two gods of time and space in all aspects. Some people watched the scene just now as if they were watching a black and white silent film that was not even 360p, and they didn't feel anything because some kind-hearted people deleted everything that exceeded his perception limit. There are also people who can accept it completely, but without any waves, because these two guys are bred by themselves, and watching them fight is like watching two children of their own family. You push me, and I push you. If you are in a good mood, go and take care of it. If you are in a bad mood, do whatever you want. What kind of person is Doomu? He is the one who sees the space split, time reverses, and the laws emerge, and he enters the level of watching the battle of the powerful and enlightenment on the spot in one step. Chapter 827, Arceus's Confusion. Doom's talent was so strong that it was terrifying. His soul was extremely powerful, and his perception was extremely strong. A little inspiration he recorded casually could make an ordinary person suffer for a lifetime. When he was practicing magic, he could clearly sense a magic power from heaven and earth. Compared with the scenes when he usually practiced, the battle scene of the two gods of time and space was like a 100-meter tsunami rushing at his face. When Palkia used the subseverance, his mind went blank, and it took him several seconds to come back to his senses. Looking at the group of people around him chatting leisurely, and words like multiverse, dimensional demon, and Peter the Great Immortal's boundless magic power kept popping up, combined with the previous title, the 7th live broadcast, Doom concluded that these experienced old members must have accumulated enough terrifying power in the first 6 live broadcasts. They can even be called gods. With this guess, Doom was not afraid or discouraged, but full of energy. They can do it, so why can't I? Exclamation mark. Looking at the battle scene gradually disappearing on the screen, Doom felt that he came to the right place, but it was a pity. He had barely memorized some of the peculiarities of space. If he kept watching the clips just now, maybe he would only need a few days to master the short distance space movement. As for the roar of time, because his brain crashed after being cut off by Yakun, Doom had no energy to pay attention to the roar of time. He felt a little pity. If he could look at the power of time more, maybe he could learn by analogy and have a new understanding of prophecy magic. And if he wanted to kill his way into hell to save his mother in the future, his attainments in time and space would definitely help a lot. He didn't plan to ask for help because he didn't know how much it would cost to ask for help. According to the guy named Stark who looked like he deserved a beating, Peter Parker seemed to be a demon god, and he had started a faith and religion in his world, and could even turn the United Nations General Assembly into his missionary site. Any demon god is greedy, so you must be careful of him. According to the information I know, the United Nations is a union of countries on the entire Earth. So, wouldn't the other party turn all the human beings on the entire Earth into his believers? Exclamation mark. Peter looked at Doom, and he felt that Doom was looking at him. Doom saw Peter's gaze and immediately looked away from the screen, pretending to ignore it. What a gap, Peter. Janitor stuffed various snacks into her mouth. Only in the screening room could she get such a satisfying feeling of filling her stomach. Facing Janitor's hospitality, Peter also picked up a fragrant fruit and drank it. Yes, this thing is similar to coconut and is used for drinking. Although Janitor will swallow the shell into his stomach after drinking it, it should be that he is a little nervous when he first comes to the screening room. It was the same when I first came here. I will talk to him later and try to help him integrate into this environment as soon as possible. Bruce Wayne, after talking for so long, you still haven't told us the real reason for their meeting. Will it affect the subsequent plot, so it is inconvenient to say? Arceus, no, you can say it. Arceus, my clone in that world, is about to wake up, and the breath it emits has disturbed the stability of the space-time domain, causing the time domain and space domain that would not have collided originally to collide. They both felt uneasy because they sensed the anger in my breath that was about to wake up. Loki Odinson, in short, they were frightened by your morning grumpiness. Arceus, it seems that this can be understood. At this moment, Arceus's prestige was raised again. What is a creator god? A creator god can destroy the stability of space-time just by waking up grumpily, causing the two gods of space and time to fight each other when they meet. The video continues. The boy with a backpack and his two companions walk towards the next town. A yellow-skinned rat climbed onto the boy's head. The boy relied on his strong body to treat the more than 10 pounds of weight on his head as nothing. Gone. Haven't we arrived yet? The girl with medium-length blue hair asked the squinty-eyed young man beside her. The squinty-eyed young man, who was called Gon, replied, no, look, it's right in front. Seeing the town ahead, the boy and girl rushed over together. The boy said to the yellow-skinned rat on his head, Pikachu, when we get there, we'll find our opponents. I have to prepare for the grand contest, too. Ash, Hickory. Wait, slow down. While running, the two suddenly found something wrong. A big river separated them from the town. Even if they crossed the river, the town was on a high mountain in the distance. If they wanted to get to the town, they had to climb hundreds of meters. It looks like we've reached the other side. Gon looked at the place and notified his two companions. Good news, we are not lost. Bad news, we went to the wrong place and now we have to go back the same way. That sign. Hickory spotted the red and white ball pattern printed on Gon's map. Do you remember Maya Award? It's the one from the first official live broadcast. That was so long ago, who would still remember that kind of thing? It's a high-level ball. A high-level ball? Strange suddenly recalled Hikaru's glorious record. As an Ultraman, perhaps the law of conservation of human luck does not apply to Hikaru. He got an orange card, Gungnir, the Eternal Spear, in his first draw, and a blue card in his second draw. The chief would be sad to see this kind of luck. High-level balls are balls with a higher capture rate and better comfort than ordinary Pokeballs. Hikaru said, I put the high-level balls in the Science and Technology Bureau, so I can't show them to you, but I'm sure that the red and white balls on Zyagang's map are ordinary versions of Pokeballs. Agwang, at ARZEUS, can I ask, in your world, how do humans get along with those things with magical powers? Arceus, in most worlds, humans get along very happily with those ordinary lives. Arceus, elves, Pokemon, pocket monsters, these are all names given by humans to other ordinary life forms. In fact, humans and them are all life forms that evolved naturally from the seeds of life, but humans are more special. Bruce Wayne, is it because of wisdom? Arceus, part of it, but the thing that puzzles me most about humans is that no matter how the world evolves, the emergence of humans is inevitable. Chapter 828, Wayne's Relapse. Arceus, without my intervention, no matter how that world develops, a kind of ordinary life that calls itself human will definitely be born. This makes me very curious, because of probability, every world that seems to be not much different or even exactly the same will have huge differences. Even if two worlds are very similar, as long as they are not completely copied by me, there will be a slight difference. Arceus, but this slight difference is enough to cause a huge difference in an ordinary life species, or even a low life. Arceus, some worlds have a lot of lore life, while some worlds are unique. The same is true for ordinary life, but no matter how other Pokemon change, humans will definitely appear firmly in the world. Arceus, this question has troubled me for a long time, and I joined the screening room in the hope of getting an answer. Drive Manhattan, me too. I'm also very interested in this question. I have tried many possible timelines. The emergence of humans seems to be an absolute time point. If there is a chance, we can meet offline and have a good chat about the birth of humans. Logan, these big guys have started again. Doom was fascinated by what he saw. Is this the world of the strong? Using the world as a sandbox and all living beings as chess pieces, just to solve one of your own problems. The video continues. Do you need help? A hot air balloon descended from the sky, and the blonde girl with the little flame monkey greeted the three people and Pikachu. Hi, the three people flew towards the distant Bayang town with the help of the hot air balloon of the blonde girl Alice. The little flame monkey used the flame on its tail to heat the hot air balloon. Alice told the three people that she was a student of the music department. After that, she took out the grass flute and started playing. Wonder, great, it's like a fairy tale world. For now, if you don't think about the two gods of time and space fighting and the interlayer of time and space, this scene is indeed too beautiful. Bruce Wayne, this world is not beautiful. I can't imagine how the human beings in this world survive in such a dangerous environment. Wanda, you started again. Bruce Wayne, can't you see how terrible the destructive power of the creatures called Pokemon is? Even if it is just an ordinary Pokemon, it can easily spray out flames. This is just one kind. What ability does Pikachu have? How many Pokemon are there in this world? How many Pokemon can be called gods? Bruce Wayne, just like that little flame monkey, it seems harmless, but how much damage will it cause if it goes crazy? Wanda, your paranoia is hopeless. Peter Parker, I didn't see the desire to destroy in the eyes of the little flame monkey and Pikachu. They Diana Prince, I met a Pokemon from this world in the arena. Peter Parker, is that your kind of punishment card? Diana Prince, I don't think that's a punishment. I have fun fighting. Diana Prince, he calls himself Lucadio, and is a swordsman. The video continues. The Pidgeot and the Toucan are attracted by Alice's grass flute and circle around the hot air balloon. Ozzy looks at the Pidgeot beside him and seems to remember something. Under a hot air balloon that looks like a piranha plant, a blue-haired young man, a woman with long red hair, and a bipedal cat with a gold coin on his forehead are looking at the hot air balloon in front of them with a telescope. Suddenly, a balloon-like creature blocked the three people's sight. A creature similar to a hot air balloon and three small balloons came into contact with the two people and the cat. What are these guys? It's the Pio balloon and the Echo balloon. Meow. The upright cat said the name of the visitor. The young woman seemed to want to catch one with a net, but was easily dodged by the Pio balloon. The Echo balloon and the Pio balloon were enraged, and a blue light flashed on their bodies. A strong tornado appeared out of thin air and swept away the three people's hot air balloons. It's a fierce storm. Meow. What a disgusting feeling. Bruce Wayne, look. I told you that kind of creature is extremely dangerous. Being able to summon small tornadoes at will can cause great damage and is a threat that is fatal to ordinary people. Wanda, that woman was the first to do it. Strange. I also feel that you have gone too far. You may have fallen into a wrong zone. That is, all your assumptions are based on our, or the conventional human cognition. Strange. Survival of the fittest. If humans really want to be in a situation where they are easily crushed in this world, as you said, they will never be able to build citizen civilizations. Moreover, when the hot air balloon was swept away by the tornado, the three people shouted that they felt so disgusted, as if they had already been accustomed to this situation. Peter Parker, I still insist that those floating balloons have no malice. Wait a minute, I suddenly understand. Peter looked at the lazy river god on the side and remembered the most unique one among the many Spider-Mans he had met before. Spider-Ham. Peter Parker, have you seen the cartoon? There are always a lot of exaggerated techniques in animations, such as a bomb that can blow a building into ruins, but people near the explosion are only blown black and even shake their head slightly to be intact. Peter Parker, this world gives me this feeling Bruce Wayne, do you mean the 10 cold universe? Don't forget that, although the 10 cold universe is very strange, people can still die. Captain America, maybe the humans in that world are different from the humans we know? Captain America, maybe each of them is a superhuman with the same power as me. Since they are also creatures bred by the seeds of life, other Pokémon have superpowers such as breathing fire and blowing wind, and it is not a special case that humans have super physique. Bruce Wayne frowned and began to think about the possibility of this matter. Indeed, in that world, the relationship between humans and Pokémon is indeed good. Humans and animals are evolved from the same ancestor. Maybe in that world, humans also have superpowers, and the relationship between Pokémon and humans is the relationship between pets and humans. A world with extraordinary powers from birth. It's even more dangerous. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 829, Xiaozi, what is a reverse attribute battle master? The video continues. Look, that's the most famous building in Poplar Town, the Tower of Time and Space. In his normal state, Brock always acts like a reliable adult male. He tells his two companions about the historic Twin Towers. It was designed and built by the genius designer Gordy 100 years ago. It is said that people at the time opposed the construction of such a fantastic sounding building, but Gordy built the Tower of Time and Space despite everyone's opposition. Facts have proved that Gordy's approach had a profound impact on the subsequent Poplar Town, Xiaoguang. That's also the venue for the Pokémon contest. Speaking of why that building is called the Tower of Time and Space, Brock continues to do his job as a narrator conscientiously. It is said that it is because the right side symbolizes time and the left side symbolizes space. Pikachu? Pikachu's ears moved, as if it sensed something. The next second, a flock of Pidgeots and Pidgeots flew by, and invisible waves swept the entire sky and town. This force shook the hot air balloon. After it stabilized, Alice told everyone that this strange phenomenon had only started to appear recently, and it was not caused by air currents. Was that a spatial fluctuation? Dum stared at the infinite wave form that swept across the screen with his eyes wide open. He saw in his mother's magic book that the great wizards described the world as a fish tank. They were the fish, and space was the water in the fish tank. Then, the space god's subspace cutoff was to use high pressure to fly the water away. Since space is water, what is time? Brothers, I seem to know why Palkia, as the space god, has the attributes of water plus dragon. Can the fluctuation of space directly affect real things? As long as the amount of fluctuation is large enough, it can be. Peter's hand flashed with white light and then spread out invisibly, just like a stone falling on the lake and causing waves. I just triggered a small scale and harmless space fluctuation in a similar way. There was a small detail in the battle between the Black and Doctor. When he used magic, tiny cracks appeared in the surrounding space. When Belia broke into the Kingdom of Light, he also caused similar damage during the battle. This is the damage to the surrounding space. From my current perspective, Belia's strength was a bit strange in that battle. He was able to use brute force to forcibly break the space. This difficulty is like a fish using brute force to create a vacuum in the water. Peter now has his own understanding of time and space and can teach and answer questions from others in return. Bruce Wayne, you said that too strong a force will cause instability in space, and the previous battle between the two gods of time and space was definitely an extremely terrifying force, and one of them was the power to control space. Strange, every world and every dimension can be regarded as an independent bubble, and space is the air in the bubble. The battle between Palkia and Dialga was fought outside the bubble, but the place where they fought was too close to the bubble wall. The vibration caused by the battle was transmitted into the bubble, causing air vibration. Arceus, the pearls on Palkia's arms represent space. Now, one of the pearls has been cracked by Dialga, and the stability of space will naturally be in trouble. Bruce Wayne, if cracks in the space pearls on Palkia's arms will cause space instability, then wouldn't it be the case that there is a problem with the diamond on Dialga's chest? Tony Stark, time is disordered. People from different eras will gather in the same timeline, or the time of creatures is disordered. A person is now in his prime, but in the next second he may become an old man or a babbling toddler. At this moment, everyone's understanding of the mythical beasts has been further improved. Peter Parker, if they fight, won't the ordinary people in that world suffer? Arceus, according to movie etiquette, I refuse to disclose this information. The video continues. Alice led the three people walking on the streets of the town. The hunting swallowtail butterfly flew across the sky. The bronze mirror and the round land shark fought fiercely on the roadside. The four people each held a marshmallow and ate it while walking. And Ozzy, who was walking without looking at the road, bumped into a giant. The crust turtle, I remember the one I played, was called Tite Turtle. It's been too long, and I chose Charmeleon at that time, MD, because I didn't know how to play at that time. I directly taught Monkey Brother Rock Smash and IAI Slash, turned his head to look at Ozzy, and his huge body had an exceptionally good temper. Pikachu jumped on the crust turtle and jumped, and the size difference between the two sides formed a counter-cute difference. The owner of the crust turtle was next to the crust turtle, and his other two partners greeted Ozzy, the newcomer, in a friendly way. Of course, it was a unique way of greeting between Pokémon trainers. Three fierce battles started instantly, and the pedestrians on the roadside had already become accustomed to it. Golden lightning burst out from Pikachu's body, and then accurately hit the ground plus grass-type turtle. What is the ultimate master of reverse attributes? The electric current was guided by the turtle and poured into the ground. The turtle opened its big mouth that could easily swallow 2 watermelons. A stream of white energy gathered in its mouth. Pikachu used high-speed movement to avoid all attacks and rushed to the turtle. White light flashed on its tail, and a steel tail big slapped the turtle's face. Weighing several tons, as stable as Mount Tay, the turtle, which looked like an armored vehicle at first glance, was overturned to the ground by this steel bone move, and the whole turtle was stunned. Do you know how much mental damage a big slap can cause to a turtle? Exclamation mark. I'm just a kid who weighs several tons. Pokémon, the version I played, was called Round Penguin, and Emperor Boner, Emperor Penguin, bowed to each other. This Pokémon was super brave, and launched an attack on his ultimate form without fear. A water vortex much larger than Pokémon's body was gathered by Pokémon, and King Boner used the freezing ray to instantly freeze the vortex. Then Pokémon used the bubble ray, but was blocked by King Boner, and finally summoned a water tornado with his body as the center. The only one of the 3 battles that looked normal was the battle between Infernape and Frog, with fists and feet from both sides fighting, and the sound of breaking through the air. Bruce Wayne closed his notebook and fell silent. Chapter 830, Hikaru, I'm just a person from the land of light. How can I understand the aesthetics of your Earth? Bruce's original fixed ideas were completely broken by the brief battle just now. First of all, this world must be very unfriendly to media, the proposer of the law of conservation of energy. A yellow-skinned mouse weighing only a dozen pounds can release a current of 100,000 volts. Bruce is skeptical about this for the time being, but he has witnessed with his own eyes that a small penguin that may not be as heavy as Pikachu can easily summon a vortex that is hundreds of times its own size, and the freezing light emitted by the larger penguin can instantly freeze the vortex. Among the villains he knows, only Mr. Freeze has this ability, and Mr. Freeze relies on technology and has to carry a large can with him, but the Emperor Penguin doesn't need it. Infernape looks like a grown-up little fire monkey. This has been seen before. From the previous 2 battles, it can be inferred that, although the opponent did not show any extraordinary abilities, he was just fighting with a creature that looks a bit like a humanoid toad, but it must not be difficult to spit out flames. And from the expressions of passers-by on the roadside, it is not difficult to see that this kind of thing is not only commonplace in this world, but also a roadside show. The term Pokémon trainer has already shown that the humans in this world have made it a profession to raise these powerful creatures. Wait. Arceus said that humans and these ordinary creatures are all bred by the seeds of life. Let's call those Pokémon with various extraordinary powers ordinary life. That means that humans should also have superpowers, and not just 1 or 2, but the humans in that world generally have superpowers. Then are those humans the same as the humans in my world? Bruce Wayne, at ARZEUS, may I ask, Are the Pokémon on the screen, such as Pikachu, that use lightning and ice, ordinary creatures? Arceus, that's right, they are not bred by the law, but the result of the natural evolution of the seeds of life. Arceus, most of the life bred by the law is unique. Some worlds have problems during the brooding process, and there may be multiple life, but only one can become the representative of the embodiment of the law, and the others are just more powerful ordinary life. Bruce Wayne, then may I ask, what special abilities do the humans in that world have, in addition to wisdom? Bruce Wayne, it was my negligence. It is really difficult to make a comparison without a control sample. Bruce temporarily gave up the control experiment of the two worlds. If the humans in this world have any special abilities, he will be able to see it later. The video continues. This place was also designed by Gordy. 4 people walked in a courtyard. A group of wealthy people with good vision saw at a glance that this courtyard was also designed by a master. Tony Stark, this place is really nice. That Gordy is very skilled. When the new Avengers base is rebuilt, I will also build one in the Avengers base. I will design it myself. Bruce Wayne, it is okay for the future Justice League base to have an additional courtyard. Captain America, I reject your proposal. Tony Stark, Captain, you have already rejected all my reconstruction plans before. I just want to add a courtyard to the Avengers base. Is it not okay? Exclamation mark. Captain America, of course, a courtyard is okay, but Tony, I really don't mean to target you, but your aesthetics are even a little exaggerated. Peter remained silent. He had seen Tony's design drawings. The design style was conservative, not bad, but too advanced. Most people couldn't accept it. Tony Stark, that's because you are too old-fashioned. I will prove the excellence of my design now. Jarvis, call up my design drawings. Jarvis was silent, which was rare. Sir, do you need to call up all of them? Of course. Tony said confidently, all of them, including the new Avengers base and Stark Tower, as well as the entire New York City. Okay, sir, as you wish. Tony's artificial intelligence butler Jarvis has become familiar with everyone. The screening room doesn't seem to be too concerned about whether Jarvis is a real life. Not only can Jarvis be brought into the screening room, it can even connect to the internet. Looking at the drawings drawn by Tony himself, everyone who wanted to express their thoughts decided to organize their words. Peter, you tell me something. Seeing Tony pointing at him, Peter immediately said, I've seen it, let's ask other people's opinions. Okay, then. Hikaru? Me. Hikaru was stunned, then said, I'm just a person from the land of light. I don't understand the aesthetics of you earthlings. Then evaluate it according to your land of light's aesthetics. Constantine, who was sitting next to Hikaru, seemed to hear Hikaru gasp. Very colorful. The buildings of the land of light are a bit too plain compared to yours. I think some aliens should like your design style. Thank you for your speech. Of course, everyone loves Stark. Tony looked at janitor. Well, she was eating. Tony looked at the river god again. I think it's pretty good. Thank you, but it's not pretty. It's very good. Logan? I'm an old soldier who teaches history. What do I know about garden design? Next. B. Okay, let's watch the video. It's the important part. The video continues. Catman and Luke, the first 2 forms of Thunder Lion, rushed out with Mirillary, playing with Pikachu, Pokemon and Flame Monkey, and 3 bees flew around Alice. Seeing this scene, the 3 of them released all the Pokémon on their bodies. Sapling Turtle, Curly-Eared Rabbit, Fork-tailed Weasel, Nonsense Tree, Happy Egg. From the back of the courtyard, you can see the big river, and the whole courtyard is a scene of joy. Well, if you ignore the many Pokémon fighting, because of a sweet peach, it's still quite harmonious. Seeing a group of Pokémon fighting, the 3 of them hurried to stop them, and Alice took out the grass flute and played it. In the beautiful flute sound, the anger of many Pokémon was calmed. This is the song my grandma taught me. Alice told the 3 people the origin of this beautiful song. At this time, a humanoid Pokémon jumped to Alice's side and gestured to her as if something big had happened. Song. A song that can calm anger. Many elders who had been baptized by the screening room instantly had a guess. Maybe this song is the key to calming the anger of the twin gods of time and space. Chapter 831, The Destroyer. Before coming to the screening room, a group of smart people would naturally not think that the anger of two gods who can control time and space can be extinguished by a human song, but according to their continuous cognition, they understand one thing. That is, as long as the variables are large enough, nothing can't happen. The video continues. A leader led everyone to a stone pillar courtyard. There were originally several stone pillars here, but now one of the stone pillars was destroyed, as if it was corroded, but also seemed to be twisted by something. Who destroyed the courtyard? Too bad. It's Darkrai. A voice sounded, and a red-haired man in a formal dress appeared from the vine corridor on the side. Albert. Alice obviously knew this man, and the man called Albert said, "I heard that someone saw him on the street recently." Darkrai, what is that? Faced with the doubts of the ignorant boys Ozzy, Albert insisted, "That's the elf who destroyed the courtyard." Elf. I heard that Darkrai lives in this courtyard. Alice had also heard of this Darkrai, and Zyanogang remembered the legend about Darkrai. It is an extremely rare elf that only exists in legends. It is said that wherever Darkrai goes, both humans and elves will have nightmares, so Darkrai is also called Nightmare God. Nightmare God. It sounds, for some reason, inexplicably feels a bit handsome. The title of every demon god is not groundless. Dormammu is called the Dark Lord because he commands an entire dark dimension. Strange had a serious face, and he was more concerned about the affairs of gods and demons. However, if it just makes people have nightmares, it is not a big threat. Loki Odinson, not too big? Question mark? Holy Lord, you're talking nonsense. Looking at this pair of gods and demons, Strange suddenly remembered that they had both been tortured by dream-type punishment cards. Strange, well, depending on the different fears and the number of nightmares, it does have different effects. I was indeed abrupt just now. If you connect, having nightmares will indeed have an impact on people's spirits. Strange, but if it is really like what Zyanogang said, Darkrai really lives here, then over the years, there must be people who have been affected by him and have nightmares. I just don't know how strong the frequency is, and how large the impact range is. Arceus, Darkrai. It is also a life born of the law, but it is relatively weak, and cannot be compared with Dialga and Palkia. Moreover, some worlds have bred more than one Darkrai. Bruce Wayne, is Nightmare also a law? Arceus, yes. Dr. Manhattan, in my opinion, the law is the same as the Tao, and it belongs to the law of the universe. Understanding the law is to deepen the understanding and application of the law of the universe. Since this world has nightmares, nightmares can be generated and run in this world, then we can understand that this world is running the law of nightmares. Dr. Manhattan, similarly, the law of sweet dreams and the law of insomnia exist, because they are a kind of law of the universe. Logan, so being bitten by a mosquito can also be understood as a law? If I master this law, will mosquitoes not bite me? Dr. Manhattan, mosquitoes bite you to eat, and eating is to reproduce, which should belong to the law of natural reproduction. Compared with mastering the law of natural reproduction, my suggestion is to use mosquito coils, or move to a place where there are no mosquito bites. Arceus, your explanation seems to be more acceptable to humans. The screening room translates my thoughts into a language that you can understand for you to understand, but the translation is not perfect. It can be called machine translation, and you seem to understand the human thinking mode better. Drive Manhattan, I used to be a human, and even now I still retain some human habits, such as wearing clothes in public, and maintaining a human appearance. Because of a quantum experiment, my soul entered a higher level domain space, which made me what I'm now. Arceus, relying on external forces, to advance to a higher dimension? You made me feel shocked. I'm shocked by your good luck. Drive Manhattan, yes, my birth is a miracle. The image continues. Wow. It seems that an amazing big shot has been discovered. Musashi is hanging on the tree, and beside her, Kajiro and Meowth are blocked by vines and a falling hot air balloon respectively. In such a dangerous situation, the three of them are not in a hurry to get out of trouble. Instead, they take out telescopes hidden somewhere, and observe the courtyard. If you get close to him, you might get something good. Meow. The three of them are fine. Looking at their expressions, it seems that falling from the sky is something they are already familiar with. They don't look panicked like ordinary people. Have they received professional training? The two of them are wearing the same uniform. It's unlikely. Which special force would specially develop training to fall from the sky and then use a telescope to peek at others calmly? The Colorado School of Mines even has asteroid mining. It's normal for some training programs that we think are a bit strange to appear in the other world. Maybe they are just brave. I'm more curious about how they quickly confirmed the location of Ozzy and the others. The video continues. The bushes in the courtyard suddenly shook, and Albert immediately threw the Pokeball in his hand when he saw it. Go ahead, Big Tongue Licker. A pink humanoid Pokemon appeared, with a round head, a round body, and very smooth limbs, which looked quite cute. Big Tongue Licking, Destruction Death Ray. Albert pointed his finger at the bushes and ordered Big Tongue Licking to attack without any reason. The big tongue was taken back into the mouth of Big Tongue Licking. A yellow energy ball gathered in the mouth of Big Tongue Licking and then fired. Big Tongue Licking's dual attack and dual defense racial values are quite balanced. The speed is only 50, while the physical strength has reached 3 digits. Moreover, Albert's Big Tongue Licking strength does not seem to be very good. The damage caused by the 150 power destruction death ray did not even blow up the bushes. What's going on? Why are you suddenly hitting people? A scream came from the bushes, and a man came out with a computer in his arms, looking dusty. Chapter 832, Nightmare God. Bruce looked at the man carefully. Although the name of the destruction ray sounded very domineering, it was not as powerful as a high explosive grenade. It felt like he could just find a random gangster's arsenal and use anything there to cause more destruction than the destruction ray. If you hit someone, you will be hit. Although this man was covered in dirt and looked very embarrassed, he did not look injured at all, and even the computer in his hand was intact. Is the special feature of the human beings in this world that they have super strong physiques? That's right. Civilization was not built in a day. At the current level of human development, before the invention of the Pokeball, it was inevitable that there would be friction with Pokemon, just like the ancestors of the human beings on Earth hunting mammoths with spears. Faced with monsters that can easily use ice, fire, and lightning, if the human beings in this world have super strong physiques, no, it should be said that they have super high resistance to the attacks of Pokemon. The video continues. This is Tonio, a scientist. The scientist named Tonio came to the crime scene again to study the traces of destruction. He looked at this special trace of destruction and had a bad premonition. In the space-time layer, the battle between Dialga and Palkia became more and more intense. Both sides used the destruction death light at the same time. Compared with the destruction death light just used by the Big Tongue, the destruction death light of Dialga and Palkia collided with each other. There was no collision of the laws of space and time, but the pure energy bombardment caused a more terrifying effect. The energy turned into a tsunami and rushed in all directions. Countless unknown totems were scattered under the impact of the energy tsunami. The time turbulence has not subsided yet. The spatial stability that was cut off and destroyed by the subspace has also opened the passage to the main world under the impact of the time turbulence. A large number of unknown totems were rushed into the main world by the energy turbulence. Because of the instability of time and space, they were rushed to different time and space, and it is difficult for them to meet again in this life. In the courtyard of Gordy, Albert's arrogance caused Xiaoguang's disgust, and Alice, who was harassed by him, directly blocked Tonio's arm and told him, the person Alice likes is Tonio. Albert directly regarded it as a joke. In his opinion, how could the timid Tonio be his opponent? In terms of wealth, Albert is the local baron, who knows how the setting of this baron came up, and Tonio is a poor scientist living in the basement. In terms of appearance, skip this. In terms of Pokemon faced with Albert, who is extremely arrogant and doesn't care about her feelings at all, insisting that she is his fiancée, Alice wanted to go up and punch him, and Xiaoguang rushed up to block Albert's salty hands. At this moment, Pikachu's ears swayed, and that feeling came back. Wow, this is a real destruction ray. Logan, are these three guys really using the same skill? The difference is too big. Bruce Wayne, yes, it's like the difference between two tsar bombs and toy fireworks. River God, fireworks. Where are the fireworks? Wonder Woman, Godzilla, can you spray out an attack like that? Godzilla, it's easy if you just imitate it on the surface. Arceus, the destruction ray, is a skill with a wide range of applications. Whether it is ordinary life or law life, there are a lot of life forms that master this move. I can do it too. It's very simple, just compress the energy in the body and release it in the form of a beam of light. Arceus, there is no difficulty, just the difference in power. Dr. Manhattan, I'm actually a little excited about the scene of a creator god releasing the destruction ray with all his strength. Arceus, as the original body, I have never fought, because fighting requires an opponent. My clones have fought many times, and I think they are not as useful as the punishment stone. Wanda, didn't you pay attention to that guy named Albert? That guy is so annoying. He is exactly the same as Stark. Tony Stark. Tony Stark, what do you mean by exactly the same as me? Captain America, got, Tony, don't you really know how annoying it is to be arrogant? Constantine, at ARZEUS, there is a fellow god here, our Tony Stark, you can ask him. Arceus, got, the creator god of your world? Constantine, yes, if you can come to my world, I might be able to introduce you. Arceus, if there is a chance, I really want to meet the creator gods of other worlds. I have some questions to ask them. Constantine, what questions? Arceus, how were we born, and why did we create the world? Arceus' philosophy caused everyone to think deeply. Generally speaking, when people encounter unsolvable problems, they will put their trust in gods. Even when gods have unsolvable problems, they can still put their trust in the world. But when the creator god, who created the world, has doubts and there are no other colleagues around him, then they can only figure it out on their own. River god, why not ask the magical screening room? Arceus, I asked, but no one replied. The image continues. The computer in Tonio's hand also sounded an alarm. Looking at the wave graph on the screen, Tonio was overwhelmed. What on earth is this phenomenon? Alito seemed to have sensed something and looked nervously at the building next to him. A purple light flashed on a stone pillar, and the stone pillar was split into two. The extremely smooth cross-section made people feel extremely uneasy. Pikachu issued a warning. A black shadow swam around the stone pillar like an underground shark. In the sky, the sun was blocked by clouds. The plant Pokemon that were originally basking in the sun on the trees folded their petals and entered hibernation mode. Be careful, I have a very uneasy feeling. Everyone's heartbeat accelerated, and they were extremely nervous. As the clouds blocked the sun and the shadows covered the earth, fear unconsciously arose at this moment. In the place where the sun was blocked by the trees, the shadows wandering on the ground gathered together. The white hair-like part that rolled like turbid mist appeared first, followed by the face that was mostly covered by hair. The red jagged object circled around its neck, if it could be considered a neck, and the only eye that could be seen was a faint blue light. A long black rag-like thing was hung on each shoulder. 3 black claws and a body similar to an hourglass also emerged from the shadows. It floated in the air. Its blue one eye looked at everyone and let out a terrifying roar. Don't come here. Alito immediately took a fighting posture, and Pikachu lay on his shoulder and stared at this strange guy who always felt like he could give people nightmares at night. As long as Zyozzy gave an order, it would go up and touch this guy. It appeared. That's the legendary Pokemon. The nightmare god Darkrai. Yes, Darkrai is indeed my favorite Pokemon. My grandfather has been in the hospital these days and needs someone to take care of him. He goes to bed late and gets up early every day. He fell asleep as soon as he lay on the bed at noon and woke up at 5 in the afternoon. The update is a bit slow. Chapter 833. The idea is good, but you found a single-celled organism. It's you who did it. Darkrai. Albert, who was already arrogant, saw the murderer he thought appeared and immediately ordered Big Lick to attack Darkrai, determined to drive him out or bring him to justice. Darkrai's body dived into the shadows, dodging Big Lick's destructive death light at a very high speed, so that Big Lick's attack could only scrape the ground. Darkrai emerged from the shadows again and threw a black energy ball. Big Lick's speed race value of 50 and his round body was so flexible that he twisted his body to avoid Darkrai's attack. Behind Big Lig was a group of onlookers, and one of the unlucky onlookers was hit by Darkray's attack. The energy ball spread into a circular black force field that surrounded the unlucky onlooker Ozzy, and Ozzy fell to the ground fiercely, but when he looked up, he found that there was no one around him. Where are the people? Pikachu, Brock, Hickory? Ash looked at the suddenly empty courtyard in confusion. The shadow under his feet suddenly expanded into a huge Darkrai that enveloped Ash himself. A terrifying scene appeared in front of the panicked Ash. In the light purple-red background, a red light accompanied by an angry and sharp roar kept wandering. Before Ash could understand what it meant, the black shadow in front of him disappeared, leaving only Darkrai in normal size. Darkrai, you did it, right? Go, Squirtle. Ash threw the Pokeball, but the Pokeball turned into black mist and dissipated in the air. Darkray's body disappeared in the shadow, and Ash's good friend Pikachu appeared at this moment. Pikachu. As a single-celled organism, Ash's brain was completely confused. He instinctively ran towards Pikachu, but the ground in front of him suddenly collapsed downwards, and all objects were swallowed by the collapsed vortex. Even Pikachu was no exception. Ozzy jumped down and hugged Pikachu tightly, and the two fell into endless darkness. In the darkness, a yellow lightning spread with a cry of Pikachu, and the golden lightning spread all over Ozzy's body, awakening Ozzy abruptly. This child is too resistant. After a set of electrotherapy, there is no sign of injury at all. Lightning, as one of the most violent manifestations of nature, has always been feared by humans. Ozzy, who was hit by a 100,000 volt lightning in his face in his sleep, was admired by everyone. This physical fitness is really amazing. Bruce Wayne, Darkrai is hinting that the appearance of Palkia has caused all this to happen. Although the picture is extremely blurry, you can still see Palkia's appearance. Peter Parker, if so, it may be bad. Peter Parker, we are watching from a god's perspective, so we naturally know that Dialga and Palkia are fighting in the cracks of time and space, and we have already seen their appearance, but Ozzy is just an ordinary person. How could he know this? If it is a person who is unaware and has a negative impact on Darkrai under the influence of Albert, Darkray's warning may be understood as a provocation. Captain America, that's right. Darkrai said before that you are not allowed to come here. Could this be saying that Palkia is not allowed to come here? Exclamation mark. Strange. Pokémon have special inductions. Pikachu can always detect something wrong 1 second before the space turbulence, and Elido has similar perceptions. Since 2 ordinary Pokémon have this ability, Darkrai, who is called the Nightmare God, may have known the existence of Palkia from the beginning. Gandalf, then, if we can communicate, maybe the misunderstanding can be solved. Loki Odinson, the problem is that we can't communicate. Loki Odinson, I think Darkrai can't even speak clearly. How can he explain to a group of humans who don't know about the space turbulence caused by Palkia, the god of space? The video continues. Ash wakes up from the bed in the Pokémon Center. Dawn, Brock, Alice, Tonio, Nurse Joy, and Jigglypuff are all here. Pikachu just lay with Ash and was hugged tightly by Ash in a nightmare. In anger, Pikachu used 100,000 volts and accidentally woke Ash up. You will have nightmares if you fall asleep near Darkrai. Joy seemed to know something about Darkrai. She was not very surprised to see Ash wake up. Darkrai has a skill that forces humans and Pokémon to fall asleep. It is much stronger than the hypnosis of the psychic type, and can even be compared with Jigglypuff's singing. In the archives of the Alliance, we call that skill Black Hole. Hearing Jigglypuff's singing, Ash and Brock subconsciously touched their faces. Your companions are worried about you. Although I have told them that Darkrai has no ill intentions, it is good that you have woken up. However, Darkrai generally does not easily appear in front of people. The residents of this town seem to hate him. Indeed. Miss Joy nodded. As a nurse family officially designated by the Pokémon Alliance, Joy not only has a wealth of knowledge about elves, but also has a gentle heart that loves elves. For other people in the town, Darkrai is a plague god. The nightmare characteristics make Pokémon unwilling to approach him easily. However, Joy is a rare exception. She does not reject Darkrai because she knows that it is not Darkrai's fault. Darkrai will cause people and Pokemon around him to have nightmares after they fall asleep, whether he wants to or not. Darkrai's nightmares are Pokemon's characteristics, just like Pikachu's static electricity, and cannot be controlled. Darkrai also knows that his characteristics are not liked by humans and Pokemon, so over the years Darkrai has been staying alone in Gordy's garden, and rarely appears in front of outsiders. Then why did Darkrai suddenly appear in front of us and attack? If we talk about attacking, it should be Albert who started it first. Then why did Darkrai destroy the courtyard? Didn't Miss Joy say that he rarely appears? Looking at a group of people guessing on the screen, Bruce Wayne shook his head in disagreement. To infer something with a purpose is a mistake in itself. Chapter 834, Artificial Intelligence, Real Life. Bruce Wayne, if you want to find out the truth of something, the most important thing is not to substitute preconceived impressions. Some of my previous words also fell into this mistake. Bruce Wayne, the reason why the two poles almost started a world war was that the leader of the Red Empire believed that America intended to start a war, and then held this idea and asked his agents to confirm the authenticity of the matter. Bruce Wayne, this is actually something that has been recognized in my heart, but it just needs enough reasons. Bruce Wayne, from the beginning when the courtyard was destroyed, if Albert hadn't preconceived that it was Darkrai who did it, Darkrai wouldn't even be known to Ozzy and the other two. And Albert is an extremely arrogant person who insists that his ideas are correct. Under his influence, things are developing in a bad direction. Bruce Wayne, however, the key figure to break the situation has also appeared. Wanda, Tonio? Bruce Wayne, yes, as someone who has read Gordy's notes, or Gordy's prophecy, Tonio now only regards Gordy's notes as an interesting extracurricular reading material, but as long as the right time comes, Tonio and the notes will definitely bring about a huge change. The video continues when Tonio thought about what happened today. It was more of a distortion than a destruction. It didn't seem like Darkrai's skill. Tonio looked at the spiral pattern on the floor, and doubts filled his heart. It's like space is twisted. I have to look for more information. Tonio shouted as if he was suddenly hysterical, turned around and left the wood without looking back. Something must have happened in the past, and that diary must have recorded it. Ah, it hurts. Looking at Tonio who was walking and thinking, and the wooden wall he hit directly was Tonio who was staggering away with his forehead covered. Alice sighed and said in a caring and helpless tone like an old mother, he hasn't changed. As long as he concentrates on thinking about things, he will become like that. At night, Bayang Town held a fireworks festival. The short-term small-scale abnormality during the day seemed to have no effect. In contrast to the lively venue was Tonio's small basement. Here, only a large number of old books and several machines accompanied Tonio. Tonio flipped through the diary left by Gordy. The yellowed pages seemed to bring him back to the era of 100 years ago. That was Gordy's era. Gordy has many diaries. From his youth to old age, Gordy has always had the habit of writing diaries. Tonio looked at the diary, his thoughts immersed in it. On this day, cracks appeared in the sky, and a large number of elves that looked like text appeared from the cracks, which made me a little uneasy. Cracks? Is this elf an unknown totem? Gordy's diary has several records about unknown totems. Tonio summarized that except for one time that Gordy saw with his own eyes, the others were mostly heard by Gordy. Gordy seemed to have recorded the number of times the unknown totems appeared. There is no pattern at all. Tonio recorded the number of times, time, and quantity of the unknown totems appearing bit by bit. He read from day to night, and he didn't give up, even though he was dizzy. Tony Stark, this kid is not good. If it were me, I would directly build a machine to scan the text of the book, and then write an intelligent AI, and all the information can be analyzed in less than a day. Captain America, Tony, you don't want to create artificial intelligence, do you? Don't forget what we saw for the first time. Tony Stark, Captain, you are an old antique who doesn't understand at all. What do you think Jarvis is? Jarvis is also artificial intelligence. Peter Parker, the intelligent AI that Mr. Stark is talking about is just a program, just like those apps on mobile phones. Overdevelopment of artificial intelligence may lead to the crisis of intelligent machines, but if human civilization wants to develop, it must rely on various intelligent AI to replace people and liberate people from a lot of tedious work. Strange. I suddenly have a question. At THANOS, at GUANG, Alice, have you used artificial intelligence? Thanos. Only intelligent programs, navigating in the vast sea of stars can't rely on human brains to record huge star maps. Intelligent programs are necessary. Ace, yes, I don't quite understand this. You should ask the scientist Hikaru. Guang, Steve. Intelligent programs and artificial intelligence are two concepts, and I compared human artificial intelligence with the artificial intelligence of other alien races, and then I found that the artificial intelligence developed by humans and the artificial intelligence of other alien races are completely two research directions. Tony's eyes lit up. This was rare first-hand information. First-hand information from the best scientist in a technologically advanced civilization. Even if it was just a few words, it might bring him a lot of inspiration. For Stark, perhaps only a little inspiration would trigger a change at the level of the Industrial Revolution. Guang, the artificial intelligence of other races is essentially not out of the program settings. At least this is what I know about Jarvis and Ultron. Guang, other races are writing programs, and you, Tony, you create the scene of Ultron. The feeling Jarvis gives me makes me feel that you are creating a brand new life. Natasha, right. I have seen many intelligent beings, and they are so stupid. Janitor asked the Mecha next to him. Jarvis, do you think I'm beautiful? Of course, Miss Janitor. Jarvis' voice came from the Mecha. Janitor smiled slightly and spoke in the live broadcast room. Janitor, I have seen artificial intelligence on other planets, some of which are far more advanced than Earth's civilization. The head of the Kree Empire is called the Supreme Intelligence, which is an artificial intelligence, Janitor, but they give me a very cold feeling. All my questions are just answers, based on their internal programs. Jarvis gives me the feeling that I'm not facing a program or a mecha, but a real person. After reading Janitor's words, Bruce said to her, logically, this should be your illusion, because Jarvis is essentially lines of code and should not be different from artificial intelligence on other planets. Tony frowned slightly after hearing Bruce's words. Chapter 835, or Asian. Tony knew that Bruce was right, because every line of Jarvis code was written by him, and the settings, upgrades, and updates of Jarvis were all done by Tony himself, and no one could surpass it. However, although he knew that Bruce was right, Tony just felt uncomfortable. Maybe it's because I forgot Jarvis's identity as an artificial intelligence after spending so much time with him. Tony could only understand it this way. As a science expert, he was more accustomed to analyzing problems with rational thinking. Tony could also explain Jarvis' praise for Janitor with the macro expression analysis system he wrote. But, create a real life. What Tony didn't tell anyone was that he had the ability to restore most of Ultron at any time. Because he had the code model of Ultron at that time, it was not stored in a certain opponent, but in his brain. Doom, who was on the side, listened quietly, constantly absorbing this rare knowledge. Image continues while flipping through the pages. Donia also saw the changes in Gordy, from the passion of youth to the steadiness of adulthood, and then to the calmness of old age. The only thing that could make Gordy change his mood when he was old was his granddaughter, Alicia. The content of this diary is very ordinary, just like an old man using simple words to record the bits and pieces of his and his granddaughter's daily life. The yellowed pages carry the beautiful memories of the old man and the girl 100 years ago. An old yellowed photo appears. The black and white photo shows an old man and a girl. The girl who looks 70% similar to Alice is Gordy's granddaughter, Alicia. On this page, Donia also found the important information he needed. Today, Alicia met Darkrai in the courtyard. Alicia, Alice's grandmother? Gordy turned to the next page. On the back of the page was a 5-line score recording a song. The story written on the yellowed pages with the ink of the octopus barrel twisted into a ball at this moment, and then turned into a picture scroll with a dim background. The girl played in the courtyard as usual, but her friends did not show up to welcome her today. When she walked into the depths of the courtyard, she saw countless Pokémon lying on the ground. Curlia, the intermediate form of Alido's evolution chain, fell to the ground with a frown on his face. Beside him were masked Rose and a group of rosebuds. A tall and mighty Rontian cat jumped in the courtyard, seemingly avoiding something. It turned its head and used 100,000 volts to attack the invisible enemy. After the golden lightning, a black ball flew over, and the Rontian cat was covered by the black ball and fell down in pain. Seeing another good friend fall, Alicia ran towards the Rontian cat without thinking too much. She came to Rontian cat and saw Rontian cat's painful expression. Under the tree not far away, a Pokémon exuding an ominous aura finally collapsed after being hit by 100,000 volts. Alicia ran to the side of the elf. The elf seemed to have long been accustomed to the fear and malice of humans and Pokémon towards him. He subconsciously wanted to reach out to resist, but this time he was not attacked, but a warm little hand. It was stunned. As the god of nightmares, Darkrai has survived for who knows how many years, and his life in these years has only two modes: being expelled and waiting to be expelled. This is the first time someone has shown kindness to it. This is the first time he has felt kindness. It is not a poor performance to cover up his evil thoughts, but a sincere kindness. Kindness and malice are completely different feelings. Darkrai was stunned, and his sky blue eyes stared blankly at the first human who showed kindness to him. This girl named Alicia. When Gordy found Alicia, Alicia was sitting on a swing, surrounded by a circle of elves who were swallowed by Darkrai's black hole and fell into nightmare. Alicia blew the grass flute, and the beautiful sound of the flute soothed the difficulties brought by the nightmare. Darkrai, who is hated by everyone, opens his heart to Alicia and lives here ever since. It turns out that this kind of thing has happened before. After reading this part of the story, Tonio finally learned about Darkrai's origins and turned to the next page, which was the first draft of the Tower of Time and Space. Next to it, Gordy also wrote a paragraph. The nightmare is trying to tell me what I should do. For the sake of the future, I have to keep oration. Oration? The keywords triggered everyone's attention. They already knew that Darkrai could only convey information to people through nightmares because he could not speak human language. Because the information conveyed was too abstract and the means of conveying information was nightmares, which required a lot of mental and physical energy. It might take more than just a little imagination to understand Darkrai's thoughts without a god's perspective. It's indeed not easy for Gordy to understand that kind of abstract expression. Maybe it's not that Gordy can understand such complex information as the battle of the two gods of time and space. He just knew that something might happen in the future, so he built the Tower of Time and Space and left behind a treasure named Oration. No one can tell what Oration is. This is not a treasure like the space-time gem that not only describes the properties, but also the shape. The name Oration is as abstract as Darkrai's nightmare. But how did Darkrai know that the twin gods of time and space would appear in the future? And how did he pass the information to Gordy? It was the unknown totem. This is the most likely scenario. The unknown totem was swept into the space crack by the time turbulence, and then a different time and space appeared. It is very likely that the unknown totem born in the crack of time and space has the ability to resist nightmares. By chance, Darkrai encountered the unknown totem that appeared, and then learned from the unknown totem that Dialga and Palkia fought in the space-time layer. The video continues. The next day, someone was already selling the feather of the dream god Cresselia on the street. You won't have nightmares if you wear this crescent feather when you sleep. The legend of the nightmare god and the dream god spread on this land. Compared with the nightmare god Darkrai, who was hated by everyone, the dream god Cresselia was in a much better situation. And the feather of Cresselia was called the crescent feather by people. As long as you carry the crescent feather, you will never have nightmares, even if the nightmare god Darkrai is by your side. Right square bracket. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 836. No problem. No problem. That would be strange. It is obviously unlikely that a small shop selling handicrafts on the street of a small town can get the feather of the dream god Chrysalia, but it is mainly for the sake of an idea, and it plays a more psychological comfort role. It is rare for Zyozzy, a single-celled organism, to think a little more, thinking about what the huge black shadow he saw in the nightmare before was. Thinking all the way, the four came to the Tower of Time and Space. They came to accompany Spider-Gwen to see the venue of the Pokémon Grand Contest. From the outside, you only know that the Tower of Time and Space is very high, and you only know how huge this building is when you come in. The lobby on the first floor is at least as big as 2 football fields. The most conspicuous position is a stone carving painting with many elves and a girl on it. So this is what the Tower of Time and Space looks like. 3 huge blue pendulum clocks in the Tower of Time are constantly shaking, and in the Tower of Space, there is a gyroscope-like object that keeps rotating. How amazing that Gordy could design and build such an amazing building. Peter couldn't help but sigh. The shock he felt when he saw the battle between the 2 gods of time and space in the interlayer of time and space was not as great as the one inside the Tower of Time and Space. Such a huge and magnificent building had never appeared in his world. Others also nodded frequently. If the construction of this tower was placed in their world, it would be an absolute miracle. Even in their own era, such a huge project would take at least 10 years without the interference of special forces. I think the construction of the space-time tower should not only be done by human power, but also borrowed the power of Pokémon. This should be the universal relationship between humans and Pokémon in that world, the bond between humans and Pokémon. This tower is also the work of Gordy. Oh, by the way, Tonio's research laboratory is also here. He usually lives in the laboratory. In the setting, Gordy is Tonio's great-grandfather, but I calculated for a long time and the timeline doesn't match. If the great-grandfather theory is true, then Tonio is at least Alice's uncle. Does Tonio live here? Yes. Come with me. Alice is also familiar with Tonio's laboratory. She said she was going in and pushed the door open. Although it is underground, the ventilation and temperature control here are surprisingly excellent. It is warm in winter and cool in summer, and the air flows smoothly. Pushing the door open, a bookshelf full of books was right next to the wall. A glass cover was placed in the most conspicuous position. Inside was a delicate model of the Tower of Time and Space. Alice looked over and saw only Tonio lying on the ground, with a large number of ancient books and draft papers for calculations scattered around him. Tonio. Seeing Tonio's expression of "I'm leaving peacefully," everyone was busy preparing to send him to the Pokémon Center. Alice, good morning. Bang. Alice let go of her hand, and the back of Tonio's head made contact with the floor for the second time. I told you not to sleep on the floor anymore. I was looking up information till late yesterday, and I fell asleep as soon as I closed my eyes. Tonio rubbed the back of his head embarrassedly and told everyone his research results. I think there must be hints about nightmares in Gordy's diary, so I also want to try dreaming. By the way, I found a photo of your grandmother. Tonio handed Alice a page of a book, on which was a photo of Gordy and Alicia. On the back was a mysterious piece of music. Pika Pika. Pikachu was holding a copper disc on his head at this time, and it was about to collapse, so Zyozzy came over and took the disc off. Bruce scratched his chin, knowing that Pikachu's strength would definitely not be weak, but it was very difficult for it to lift the disc, but Zyozzy could easily take the disc off. So the question is Pikachu acting again, or is Zyozzy too strong? That's his sound disc. Alice was also shocked by the strength of Zyozzy's arm, who could lift a sound disc without changing his expression. She showed respect for it. This thing weighed at least 30 kilograms, and it was really scary to lift it with one hand. Sound disc. You can think of the space-time tower as a huge phonograph, and the sound disc as its record. Tony introduced, the space-time tower can play music. I want to try it. But Tony looked embarrassed. If you want to play music, you have to go to the top of the space-time tower. Then what are you waiting for? Let's go. The space-time tower is very high, and the sound disc is so heavy. Don't worry, it's okay. 10 minutes later. It's no problem. Zyada Guang, who had just made a bold statement, was now panting and sweating. She looked at the 30-kilogram sound disc in her arms and regretted why she made this suggestion. She was just an ordinary little girl. Where did she get the strength of Zio's? It's impossible to expect a single-celled organism to show gentlemanly spirit to help her. It would be a great success if he didn't add insult to injury. What a loser. Pikachu, let's go. Xiaoguang, we'll go first. Sure enough, after complaining, Zio's immediately finished the attack and ran away. Another 10 minutes passed. Me too. It would be strange if there was no problem. Zio's felt the pressure from the Tower of Time and Space. This tower was even too high. I estimated that it must be at least 1,000 meters high. Zio's is now in an extremely awkward position, unable to go up or down. He has already walked about halfway. Going up is very tiring, but going back is even worse. The most important thing is that he is already very tired and really has no energy. Just then, a hot air balloon passed by Zio's. Zio's, we'll go first. Hey, you guys are cheating. This story tells us the importance of carrying a flying Pokémon that has learned the flying technique. Gordy built this time and space tower to pray for humans and Pokémon. The group of people riding the hot air balloon arrived at the top of the tower, where a large number of Pidgeots and a small number of Rattatas live. I hope that Zio's will remember something when he sees these Pidgeots. Pray for Pokémon and humans. It turns out that the time and space tower has such a meaning. Dawn looked at the tower, and Xiaogang said, a guy who is happy without praying is coming. I found my old mobile phone today. It can still be used after charging it, and it's pretty fast. The main reason is that all my pornographic software is on it. Chapter 837, How to Communicate with Autism and Language Barriers. Finally, we are here. Pikachu. A super rookie who didn't want to reveal his name conquered the tower with his loyal companion Pikachu. Is the tower too low, or is Zio's running too fast? I feel like the group of people riding the hot air balloon didn't stay up for long. Usually, this tower will automatically play when the time is up. Tony pulled a handle and manually operated the giant phonograph, but if there is a song you want to play, you have to switch it manually. After some operation, the whole tower began to play in an ancient and modern way. Tony frowned as he watched. This thing has a style of Da Vinci's paintings. That is, using items in the style of the last era to make something that may not be possible in this era. This time, Zio's finally caught the last train of the hot air balloon. Zio's, who was exhausted just now, was full of energy, and he didn't look tired and panting at all. Three of you, do you want to have another battle? The Sinnoh trio that had fought against Zio's and his friends before met Zio's and his friends again under the Tower of Space and Time. This time, the three of them exchanged opponents, and their attributes finally became a little more normal. Pikachu vs. Emperor Boner, Bullshit vs. Tortoise, and Forktail vs. Infinape. There is still one who is restrained. Pikachu. 100,000 volts. Boom. As if a blow that could destroy the world was raging in the chaotic space-time layer. Dialga, emitting blue light, completely ignored the side effect of the destructive death light and chased Palkia. The pink pearl on Palkia's left arm was broken at this moment, and several cracks appeared on the pearl, representing that the pearl of space was destroyed, and the stability of space began to decrease significantly. At this moment, Palkia no longer wanted to fight, and turned to run away. Palkia, Dialga is still chasing me. Dialga is already bloodthirsty at this moment, and he uses his ultimate move, Time Roar, again. Palkia sees that he really can't win, and will be hammered to death if he fights again, so he decisively starts to run, activates the Space God Authority, and a space wormhole opens, and Palkia escapes from the space-time layer to the elf world. The impact this time is so great that even ordinary people can feel it. Everyone looks at the Tower of Time and Space, where a touch of pink and purple light spreads in all directions. On Tonio's monitoring equipment, the spatial instability coefficient has exploded. At this moment, the space of the entire Beiyang town is as fragile as an eggshell. It will be finished with just a little force. Fortunately, the instability of the space only appeared for a short while. When the light dissipated, the space seemed to have returned to calm. In the space-time layer, the irritable Dialga saw that the cub had run away before and roared on the spot, helpless and furious. Because of Dialga's anger, Sky Blue Thunder raged in the cracks of time and space. Unknown totem, no, are you too sick? You have to catch us when you fight, right? What was that just now? The sky is glowing. Get out. A dull male voice echoed in the minds of everyone present, and Darkrai emerged from the shadows under the roadside trees. Get out. Get out. I found you, Darkrai. Go, Big Tongue Licker. Just when Zyossi wanted to find Darkrai to ask for clarification, the troublemaker appeared on the side. Albert released the Big Tongue Licker, and the 3 reporters on the side began to follow up the report. Psychic power transmits information, but the range is too large. Can't it be controlled? Peter was able to see the mental power fluctuations emitted by Darkrai just now, probably because as an old otaku and a deeply autistic patient, even if the mental power is used to spread information, Darkrai is not very good. In comparison, the ocean current god Lugia next door is much stronger than Darkrai and can communicate with Zyossi without any obstacles. I won't let you run away. Go, Lick, spin the ball. As a fat man, Lick began to show his flexible side at this moment. Lick's whole body began to spin, turning into a pink ball and crashing into Darkrai. For ordinary Pokemon, this move is still very strong. Lick's tonnage is there, and its speed is fast enough. If it is hit, it is definitely no less than being hit by a car, but his opponent is Darkrai, a god who may have been born since the beginning of the world. Perhaps because of his autism and severe otakuism, Darkrai turned the guard declaration into a map cannon, but if it really came to a fight, it would be easy for Darkrai to deal with Lick. Darkrai flew to a street lamp, and a pair of long legs stretched out from his robe-like body and stood on the street lamp. He raised his hand and sent an electric shock to knock Big Tongue Licker back from the state of the spinning ball. Then he raised his hands and shouted to get out while throwing out countless black holes. Countless onlookers suffered because of this. As long as humans and Pokemon were not covered by black holes, they would definitely not escape the fate of sleeping. In desperation, some people tried to fight back, but their attacks could not hit Darkrai at all. Maybe his emotional quotient is negative, but his fighting power is definitely awesome. Isn't this even worse? Seeing Darkrai who started to attack indiscriminately, a group of people in the theater were worried. People didn't have a good impression of Darkrai to begin with. Now the indiscriminate attacks have made ordinary people who were originally neutral start to have bad thoughts about Darkrai. In addition, there is also an extremely arrogant Baron Albert. Darkrai is forcing himself into a disadvantageous situation. Bruce shook his head, and Peter pointed out some abnormalities. The sky. Something is wrong. The sky? What's wrong with the sky? Drive Manhattan. It's a spatial fault. The current Poplar town seems to be fine on the surface, but in fact it has been isolated by the spatial fault and separated from the original world. Peter Parker, it's Palkia. As the god of space, after Palkia escaped from the cracks in time and space to Poplar Town, in order to obtain a safe healing space, he must use the power of space to create a space sister. And now, the entire Poplar Town has been blocked to another dimension. Bruce Wayne, from the perspective of human psychology, if you don't communicate with others for a long time, your language function will degenerate. Even if Darkrai originally had a complete language system, his long-term exile has made him almost unable to speak. Strange, how are the other gods born of the law in your world, like Darkrai, in terms of their communication ability? At ARZEUS, different worlds, different situations, but generally speaking, they are all fine. Some live in human society, such as Latius and Latius. Some are summoned by humans, such as Risharam and Zekrom. Some live their own lives, such as Kyogre, Groudon and Rayquaza. Arceus, in most worlds, the wisdom of law-based creatures is higher than that of ordinary creatures, and ordinary creatures cannot understand law-based creatures. However, Darkrai is indeed rare. Logan, alas, if he could speak a little, it wouldn't be like this. If only he had Loki's mouth. Sure enough, you can't read the book review section. After browsing the book review section for a while, I saw a brain hemorrhage. Of course, it's not ours. My tyrant rule has almost cured it. Really, colleagues are enemies? I clicked in and saw that they were all freeloading small accounts, all brainless trolls. Chapter 838. I'm the big tongue licking baron. The video continues. Darkrai sneaks into the shadows, and Zylsey chases after him. When they chased him to an alley, a Pokémon suddenly appeared from the wall on the side, swaying its limbs in the air, and then once again drilled into the wall on the other side. What was that just now? Is it haunted? This kid is really careless. Shouldn't a normal person think of a ghost when seeing this scene? That Pokémon was the Pokémon that was injured by Darkrai's Black Hole AoE group attack just now. But why did it become a soul out of its body? Pikachu. 100,000 volts. Zylsey was extremely careless and threw the Pokémon ghost behind his mind. Then he saw Darkrai's shadow lurking underground and immediately ordered Pikachu to attack. The 100,000 volts falling on the shadow seemed to have a paralyzing effect on Darkrai. Darkrai emerged from the shadow and looked at Zylsey and Pikachu coldly. Pikachu. Volt attack. Golden lightning appeared on Pikachu's body, and it turned into a bullet surrounded by golden lightning, and shot at Darkrai. Darkrai changed his mind, and created countless phantoms around the two of them, and began to move at high speed. Darkrai used high speed movement and shadow clones. Pikachu crashed into Darkrai's shadow clone. Zylsey was very angry about Darkrai's behavior. The information that Darkrai had conveyed to him before was also regarded by him as a declaration of expulsion. So if you are an autistic plus aphasic patient and want to convey some important information, you must not look for a single-celled organism like Zylsey. He will not even think about it. Darkrai, you should get out. Darkrai looked at Zylsey and tried to organize his words. Wrong. Huh. It's not you. It's him. Let him. Get out. Just when Zylsey wanted to ask who Darkrai was talking about, Albert came with Lick and a group of reporters who looked familiar. Albert said to Zylsey, Darkrai is my prey. Lick, destroy the death ray. The firecracker death ray missed again. Darkrai used the black hole to throw Lick into a nightmare. Albert squatted beside Lick and tried to wake him up. At this time, the ghost that appeared before appeared here again. There was obvious fear on his face. What is this? A rare Pokémon? How is it possible? Meow. This is clearly a raccoon that can fly and pass through walls. Meow. Can fly and pass through walls? Is raccoon a ghost type Pokémon? You idiot. Of course not. Meow. In that world, are ghosts also a kind of Pokémon? Faced with the fact that all the parties involved did not show any horror at the ghost like raccoon, but just felt strange about it, they could only sigh that different worlds have different customs. If a person's soul is affected by special laws, it will indeed mutate. For example, there are demons in hell that use human souls to make weapons and soldiers. Strange thought for a while and said, since some black magicians imprison and raise souls as weapons, then in that world, it is reasonable to regard ghosts as a kind of Pokémon. Arceus, in most worlds, elves have 18 attributes, which are the original power represented by my 18 stone tablets. Arceus, they are normal, fire, water, grass, electric, ice, bug, flying, ground, rock, fighting, psychic, ghost, poison, evil, steel, dragon, fairy. Arceus, the 18 attributes are mutually reinforcing and mutually restraining, and the ghost type is just one of them. After ordinary life dies, the soul will return to heaven and earth, but some lives with too deep obsessions will also retain their souls. The birth of the ghost type is quite special. It is the soul power of ordinary lives that died in a long enough time. Under the influence of the law, a new life is born. So this is also a kind of ordinary life. Arceus, the creation of humans called Pokeball, can also capture the ghost type. Wonder, then, Darkrai is a ghost type. He looks like a ghost. Arceus, no, the evil type. Tony Stark, I'm very curious about what the evil type means. The other attributes represent the element of nature, and why the dragon type and the fairy type are listed separately as an attribute, not a race. Arceus, you can think of the darkness as an emotion. This is the simplest explanation. The darkness only has a restraining effect on psychic and ghost, and is restrained by fighting, fairy and darkness itself. This is the only explanation. After the 6th generation, the darkness resistance of steel was removed. The video continues. Albert looked at the floating raccoon in the air and gave a very materialistic explanation. It was just an illusion. But at this time, the pain on the face of the fallen Lick became more and more intense, and then purple light flashed on its body, and the purple light also lit up on Baron Albert. So, under the gaze of a group of people, Baron Albert became Lick. This is not an illusion. Meow. Baron man, what the hell is going on? After a brief confusion, Zyozzy thought of a possibility. I must still be having a nightmare. Pikachu, let me wake up. Pikachu. Pikachu lay on Zyozzy's shoulder and began to discharge electricity. The powerful current of 100,000 volts penetrated Zyozzy's whole body. After a brief numbness, Zyozzy concluded that this was not a dream. Look. Kajiro took out the Macute mirror he carried with him and showed it to Albert, and then, a scream resounded throughout Baiyang Town. Baiyang Town is now overcast, and Miss Joy is helping countless Pokémons to see a doctor in the Pokémon Center. These Pokémons were hit by Darkray's black hole skill, and then fell into a coma. Zyozzy took the lead and ran in, greeting everyone as he ran. Everyone. Something terrible has happened. It's not good for us either. What? No matter how bad your situation is, it can't be worse than mine. A big tongue licker with a golden chest belt staggered in. Xiaoguang was still shocked that the big tongue licker could actually speak human language, and the human speaking big tongue licker said, I'm the big tongue licker. No, I'm Baron Albert. You're kidding. Chapter 839, Imprisoned Dream. Because what Big Tongue said was a little too scary, Xiaoguang looked incredulous. There are many Pokémon that can turn into humans, such as Zoroark and Ditto. But a human turning into a Pokémon is a little outrageous. Donio, please change me back to my original form. Donio, I'm just a scientist. I'm not a dragon, demon, or a holy tent man. How can I have the power to fulfill wishes? Zyozzy. Xiaoguang asked quietly, is he really Albert? He did turn into a big tongue in front of me and Pikachu. Pick up Pikachu. I strongly recommend you to listen to the original soundtrack. My god, this Pikachu is so cute. This is real. That's it. Meow. Musashi Kajiro and Meow Meow worked together to move the unconscious big tongue in. Musashi said with difficulty, we are also witnesses. This is the real big tongue. Tonio looked at Albert, who turned into a big tongue, and countless Pokémon flying in the sky like ghosts, and the instrument in his hand kept scanning. Dreams appeared in the real world. Dreams become reality? I see. Strange nodded and understood the principle. Strange, I understand. Originally, Darkrai used nightmares just to make people sleep, just like the dream that Zyozzy had. Strange, the dream dimension is a dimension very close to reality. When humans fall asleep, their souls will enter the dream dimension. This is nothing strange, but when Palkia descended on Poplar Town and blocked the town's space, the dream dimension was also blocked in this independent space. Under this influence, dreams will be materialized and become reality. Peter Parker, indeed, the pink and purple light on those ghosts is the effect of Palukia's blockade of space. It should be Palukia's space power. Under the influence of space power, dreams reflect reality. The image continues. Darkraven should be having a nightmare about being chased by something terrible. Then, what about me? Albert pointed at himself and asked anxiously, what's wrong with me? Darkraven is dreaming about becoming a baron. What did you say? Right now, there is some kind of powerful force active in the space of this town. This force has caused this place to fall into an abnormal state. All the abnormalities are caused by the abnormalities of the space. What powerful force? I don't know. Hearing this, Albert said decisively, it must be Darkrai. Every time he appears, weird things happen. No, that's Albert's arrogant personality would not let him listen to other people's opinions. He shook Darkraven's head and wanted to wake him up from the nightmare, but at this time, the Cinobig 3 suddenly appeared. Everyone, something strange has happened. There is no way to get out of the town. At this moment, the fog outside the Poplar Town is thick, and even the skills of the Pokémon cannot clear the fog. A group of trainers brought Pokémon to the fog. As a single-celled organism, Zyozzy did not hesitate to take Pikachu into the fog. If it were a horror movie, Zyossi would have been on the way to being sent away. When Zyossi closed his eyes and ran for a while, they ran out of the fog and saw the crowd waiting for them. I was running straight. It's space distortion. Peter saw the nature of the fog at a glance. Peter Parker, I don't know why Porkia used fog to cover the border, but now the entire Poplar town has been completely blocked in an independent space. The fog is actually a manifestation of space distortion. Zyossi seems to be running straight, but in fact he has been sent back to the original place by the distorted space. Logan, the fog is thick. Could this be the second layer of protection that Porkia has loaded to avoid Dialga? Peter Parker, maybe. The video continues. Seeing this, Baron Licking began to raise his arms and shout, "It's all that Darkray's fault. As long as Darkray is defeated, everything will return to normal. Dear excellent trainers, please lend a hand to me. Let's defeat the hateful, evil Darkray together. Let's go. Follow me." Why does Albert always pick on Darkray? Janitor pouted and said it was he who attacked Darkray first, which led to Darkray's continuous attack. Maybe there are some conflicts. Tony thought for a while and said, Darkray has the ability to have nightmares. Maybe this made Albert have nightmares, which led to Albert's constant desire to attack Darkray. In addition, the town is now blocked by Porkia's spatial power. People have only seen Darkray's attack, and the current abnormality. Some people will always be irrational in panic. Albert can easily shift the conflict to Darkray by waving his arms and shouting at this moment. Doesn't that mean we have to wait until they defeat Darkray before we find out that this matter has nothing to do with Darkray? First of all, let's not talk about whether they can beat us. Secondly, Porkia is probably going to wake up soon. Why? Intuition. Logan, I suddenly found a blind spot. Why didn't Darkray attack Porkia directly? Bruce Wayne, could it be that considering the damage caused by the battle with Porkia, he wanted to drive the crowd out first? Peter Parker, it should be impossible to find it. Porkia is trying to hide himself. It's easy. Darkray is the god of nightmares, not the god of space. He should be doing two things at the same time. One is to find a way to drive ordinary people away to avoid accidental injuries, and the second is to find a way to find Porkia's location. Bruce Wayne, why did Darkray take the initiative? Is it because of Alicia? Gandalf, a god chooses to stay in this place to protect it because of the kindness of an ordinary person. This story is great. Bruce Wayne, so why did Porkia choose to seal off the entire Poplar town? No more, no less, just the entire Poplar town. Peter Parker, I can't figure it out. Is it because a certain amount of real world medium is needed, and too much will alert Dialga, and too little will not be enough to gradually isolate the layer? Chapter 840, God of Space, Wake Up. The video continues. Let's go to. Seeing that Zyossi and the others were also planning to join the expedition, Alice couldn't help but speak up. I don't think those were done by Darkray. But who else could it be besides Darkray? Don't jump to conclusions before the results come out. The instrument in Tonio's hand was still constantly detecting the surrounding environment, and at this moment, Tonio told an old story that happened when Alice and I were little, when we were playing together in the courtyard. Tonio. When she was little, Alice stood on a high cliff and waved to Tonio, here, come quickly. Looking at Alice, who dared to walk on the edge of the cliff without looking at the road, Tonio hurriedly shouted anxiously, Alice, it's dangerous there. Be careful. Maybe this is what you say. As soon as Tonio finished speaking, Alice stepped on empty air and fell off the cliff. In great fear, Alice closed her eyes and fainted. When Tonio ran to the place where Alice fell, he found that Alice was lying on the grass intact at this moment, and a black shadow quietly left underground. That black shadow is Darkray. Tonio explained to Alice, Darkray saved you at the beginning, and it is also clearly written in Gordy's diary that Darkray opened his heart to your grandmother, so I don't think he is a bad guy. After hearing this story, everyone had different ideas. Alice was thinking, I didn't expect it was a misunderstanding back then, and this misunderstanding made me like Tonio for so many years. Xiaoguang and Xiaogang were thinking about why Darkray was making trouble everywhere, and Zyossi gave up thinking. When Darkrai appeared, the space had already undergone abnormal changes, but at that time there was no nightmare reality, and Zyossi woke up quickly. Tonio returned to the laboratory to look for information. He looked through the previous records one by one, trying to find the source of the case. After that, Darkrai appeared in the square, and then the nightmare began to become a reality. Tonio suddenly discovered something, and called up a changed chart of energy detection, and kept flipping through it. Wait, this fluctuation is Inflame, Sonic Fist. Darkrai was repelled by the flames, and Inflame knocked Darkrai back with a punch under the command of the trainer. Darkrai fell from the sky to the ground, and Emperor Boner, who arrived later, immediately used the freezing ray. Darkrai was frozen, but soon broke free from the ice, but this moment was enough for 3 higher level trainers to bring a group of ordinary trainers and their Pokémon to surround Darkrai. Among this group of people, only 3 higher level behemoths can barely be called a threat. Dote Turtle, Seed Machine Gun, Infernape, Jet Flame, King Nabo, Water Cannon. 3 higher level Goshawks and a group of ordinary Pokémons joined forces to besiege Darkrai. The damage caused by their skills splashed huge smoke, as if Darkrai would be captured by people in the next second. So in the next second, all the Pokémons were captured by Darkrai in one move. Evil Wave. Don't get in my way. Darkrai used the Black Hole Group attack, and put all the Pokémons to sleep in one move. Baron, now is your time to take action. Yes, you come and show your power. After being reminded by Musashi and Koichiro, Albert suddenly realized one thing, that is, he is now a big tongue licker. Okay, then let me fight the power. Let's go, Roundhouse. What is this principle? Seeing Albert, who really dared to go to the battlefield himself, everyone had to be shocked by his courage. You don't care if you can fight. At least people really dare to go. The situation has something to do. In the center of the elves, Albert showed his discovery to the crowd. Are elves that crossed from space cracks. This is a guy who appeared in my dream. The elves and the nightmare made by Yi. Isn't this the legendary Palkia? Yes, it is said that he lives in the cracks of the different dimensions and has the ability to control space. Tonio told his discovery. The courtyard was destroyed, and those twisted cracks are the twisting of space, which is the precursor to Palkia's coming here. Darkrai appeared only after he noticed this. When the sky was shining, Palkia appeared here. Zyossi suddenly realized, so Darkrai said to Palkia, when he said get out. In my dream, he also wanted to tell me that Palkia was coming here. So, is Palkia, the god of space, in this town now? I'm judging, based on the fluctuations in space. The instrument in Tonio's hand kept displaying data, and suddenly, he made a discovery. Here. Darkrai looked coldly at the top of the Tower of Time and Space, where there was a sphere that could not be recognized by the human eye. When they found out that Palkia was on the space-time tower, Zyossi and the others rushed over to see Darkrai's attack. Darkrai flew at full speed towards the transparent barrier, and then was bounced back at an even faster speed. The whole Pokémon smashed a huge hole in the stone road of the square. Darkrai. There were ripples like waves in the sky. It was the space that was shaking. Palkia, wake up. Get out. Darkrai took off again. This time he didn't stubbornly fight the space barrier, but transformed the AoE evil wave into a beam of light, and shot it at Palkia. After hitting it, the sleeping Palkia opened a pair of eyes emitting red light. The fog surrounding the town disappeared, and what appeared instead was a more terrifying void vault. God of Space, wake up. Chapter 841, The War of Gods restarts. Warrior Sky. The good news is that, because the space seal was lifted, the imprisoned dream was also liberated, and because the black hole trapped the elves and people in the dream also woke up. The bad news is that the world began to collapse. The town of Poplar is now in the void. Because of the characteristics of the space-time turbulence in the void, the town of Poplar began to disintegrate from the outside to the inside. The whole town is floating in the different dimension. It's bad. Tonio is still looking at the instrument panel, while Alice noticed a detail. The pearl on Palkia's left arm has cracks. Palkia, are you hurt? Palkia's huge body fell in front of the Tower of Time and Space. He looked at the elf who dared to provoke it and attack him. Darkrai is still attacking, and the light bullet transformed by the evil wave bombards Palkia. but with little effect. Then Darkrai released lightning, but was easily blocked by Palkia. The gap between the hard attributes of the two sides was too big. Palkia may not have recovered from his injuries, or Palkia may not be willing to use skills on lives weaker than himself. Facing Darkrai's attack, Palkia's choice was to go up and fight melee. But from the appearance, Darkrai and Palkia have no advantage in melee. The two sides are not of the same type at all. The situation on the field became him running away, he chasing, and they couldn't fly away. And at this moment, countless meteors fell from the void, and with a roar filled with anger, a blue dragon stepped out of the long river of time. The god of time, Dialga. Faced with the AoE of the dragon stars, Darkrai quickly released lightning to block it. Palkia may not have expected this move. He was chasing his prey wholeheartedly, and was hit by another dragon stars. Then Dialga pounced on Palkia and bit Palkia's neck, and fell into the town with Palkia. With the participation of the god of time, the situation on the battlefield became more chaotic. But one thing is certain, that is, the saying that mortals encounter the fight between gods, is definitely not a joke. When their two huge bodies fell on the town, the most serious disaster was not the houses that were smashed, but everything that began to dissipate. When Dialga and Palkia wrestled with each other, the space-time turbulence caused by the collision of the divine power on both sides accelerated the disintegration of the surrounding objects. For the popular town in the void, this was the most fatal. Why is it that one of them is the god of time and the other is the god of space, but when they fight, they are no different from the melee of wild beasts? This is a question worth pondering. Gandalf, although in my world, every father and god of the universe has the ability to control the energy of the universe, they also prefer close combat. Sometimes it is not strange to hit each other in the face with a planet. Gandalf, in my opinion, this is more of a form of combat. The collision between the two of them is the power of time and space. Melee should be just a means. In fact, in many worlds, no matter how a person's setting is, when they really want to fight, they still fight melee. A certain creature in a red tights once said, an important rule in Marvel's lore is that the judgment of melee is higher than spells, higher than cold weapons, and higher than hot weapons. Image continues. Palkia, whose injury has not healed, was chased and beaten by Dialga. Seeing that Palkia was about to run again, Dialga blasted him with a destructive death beam without saying a word. Palkia was shot down again, and then he quickly used a wave missile to fight Dialga. The terrifying energy surged out of the two first level gods. The two of them were used to fighting in the cracks of time and space. When they fought, they didn't care about the aftermath damage, and it was even more impossible for them to notice the group of ordinary humans below. A wave missile was dodged by Dialga, and the wave missile directly hit the space-time tower. If this hit, the space-time tower would definitely be destroyed. At the critical moment, Darkrai flashed and blocked the wave missile. This is the nightmare recorded in Gorda's diary. Tonio now understood that the nightmare recorded in Gorda's diary, which he read as a novel at the time, was the scene in front of him. Two existences that should never meet met in the cracks of time and space. Time and space were distorted, anger enveloped the entire town, and then everything began to collapse. All this is happening right in front of us. You mean, Gordy saw what will happen in the future in his dream? Yes. The instrument in Tonio's hand suddenly sounded an alarm, and then the instrument burned directly. What an amazing energy. My instrument was directly burned by their energy. Bruce looked at Tonio and the instrument in his hand, that could be called black technology, and felt the same. It was the same when he saw Clark with the combat power detector. Some people can reach the upper limit because they can reach the upper limit, and some people can reach the upper limit because the upper limit is there. It is so high. The blue diamond on Dialga's chest lit up. The long river of time formed a vortex in his mouth, and the wings at the tail spread out. Palkia's still intact pink pearl trembled and gathered power, and let out a painful and angry roar. The blue energy flow of the roar of time and the pink light blade of the sub-slice of the space-time collided with everything. There was no comparison in the space-time layer before. There were only a group of unknown totems that had reached the blood mold. The damage caused by the roar of time and the sub-slice of the space-time was not very obvious. Now with Beiyang Town below, the two top moves finally showed their due power. At this moment, everyone seemed to understand what it meant to be a disaster and everything would be destroyed. The aftermath of the collision between the roar of time and the subslice of the space-time rushed towards Beiyang Town. That was no longer a force that ordinary things could resist. Beiyang Town had no choice but to be destroyed under this blow. Before the aftermath arrived, the people and objects in the entire Beiyang Town had begun to decompose. Everyone could only watch helplessly. In the face of this world-destroying natural disaster, the power of humans and Pokemon seemed so helpless. Suddenly, the decomposition stopped. A dark sky curtain spread over Beiyang Town and enveloped the entire Beiyang Town. The turbulent flow of time and space rushed towards the dark sky curtain and was finally resisted and disintegrated. The people who survived the catastrophe saw the figure who helped them block the attack, the figure that they had always regarded as a nightmare, a monster, and intended to expel. Darkrai. Chapter 842. Question and answer. The problem solver. That won't work. Peter frowned, not caring about eating with janitor. Darkrai's dark sky curtain can only last for 3 more moves at most. Even if Time Roar and Arc Severance are the trump cards of Dialga and Palkia, other attacks and the disintegration effect that comes with the void turbulence itself will definitely not end this battle by force. Logan, not force. Why do you say that? Peter Parker, because force is not enough. Peter Parker, the battle between Dialga and Palkia will definitely not be resolved overnight, even if Palkia is injured. Peter Parker, the most important thing is that no matter who wins in the end, the first to die will definitely be Poplar Town and the people in the town. Peter Parker, it's hard for Darkrai to block the aftermath, and it's impossible for him to directly intervene in the battle between the two gods of time and space. Besides, what if one of them wins? Who can guarantee that they will send Poplar Town back and send it back intact? The collapse of Poplar Town is the dual effect of time and space. If you want to send Poplar Town back intact, you must have the blessing of both the power of time and space. Peter Parker, but they both looked like this. Questioning begins for this question. You will get 10 points for a correct answer and draw a pain card for a wrong answer. Who solved the crisis in the end? A. Gordy B. Alice C. Zyos E and Pikachu D. Tonio E. Giratina F. Arceus G. Zyadaguang and Electric Chinchilla. 7 options again. Logan, the last time there were 7 options was when the Lord appeared, right? Where is the Lord? Loki Odinson, that Kyriloid must have been scared crazy by Bruce. Peter Parker, what did you see in Bruce's mind? See. Loki Odinson, don't ask. Guang, this time, it should be a multiple choice. Tony Stark, the screening room deliberately gave us a difficult question. If it was a single choice, we could still gamble, but we don't know how to gamble with multiple choices. And he didn't say whether we need to choose all the answers correctly or give points for every choice, just like that time. Strange, which time? Thanos, okay, don't think about it, let's see the answer. Loki Odinson, first of all, the first question is, who is Giratina? This is a key question, and it must be answered accurately. And there is only one person, or a god, who can answer this question. Arceus. Arceus, Giratina is the life of the reverse world I created, and the god of the reverse world. His strength ranks first among the 3 brothers. Peter Parker, are they still brothers? Arceus, according to your human understanding, they were created by me, and are in charge of 3 different worlds. Giratina does not have the time and space authority of Dialga and Palkia, but as the god of the reverse world, he can use the authority of the reverse world to beat up any one of Dialga and Palkia. Arceus, after this incident, Palkia dragged Dialga into the reverse world and beat him up. Arceus, is this the game that the screening room usually plays with you? It seems a bit interesting. Dr. Manhattan, interesting? Logically, you shouldn't be interested in such things. Arceus, just seal off some of the memories. I don't know the ending of the story now. Arceus, and I can't be sure which world this is a story of. In some worlds, my clone is still asleep at this time, while in others it is awake. Bruce Wayne, I have always been curious about a question, that is, whether an omniscient and omnipotent person can create a stone that he can't lift. Arceus, your question is very interesting, but I'm not omniscient, so I can't answer your question. Strange, but we can at least rule out Giratina's option. Arceus said that Giratina later dragged Dialga into a beating, which should indicate that at least at this time Giratina did not take action. Strange, of course, this is just a guess, because there are many timelines in this world, and we can't be sure. Tony Stark, can also be ruled out. Tony Stark, some content in the screening room, is just a change of soup, but not the medicine, the same gamma play. Tony Stark, who solved this crisis in the end? This sentence means solving it personally, rather than giving help. Gordy is a very important person. I guess the key to solving the problem in the end is also Gordy's time and space tower, but option A is definitely not. Peter looked at Doom, who was a little dazed, thinking that the child had not yet reacted. He smiled helplessly, sat down next to him and asked, "Are you having a hard time accepting this?" Doom had already noticed Peter coming. Although he was a genius, he had not received professional training after all, and he did not know how to hide his emotions. Or rather, Doom did not think he needed to hide his emotions. Facing the kindness of this demon god, Doom did not choose to face it with indifference. It was not that he had a good impression of Peter, but mainly because he was not sure whether the screening room could protect himself in Peter's hands, how strong Peter was, whether the other party could find his own world, etc. However, what was strange about Doom was that although he did not have a good impression of Peter, it was difficult for him to have any malice towards him. The other party made him feel very comfortable, just like being illuminated by warm sunshine. Warm and cozy. Do you want to try it? Pain cards are generally safe. After listening to everyone's discussion, choose the answer you think is the most reasonable. If you have any ideas, you can also talk about it. No one will blame you, whether it is right or wrong. Peter encouraged Doom to choose. It would be best if he could join the discussion. The fastest way to integrate into this group in the screening room is to join the discussion of the problem. Peter called it a collision of souls, and someone called it leading others to think. Doom also had his own thoughts in his mind. In his opinion, he must participate in the question and answer. This is the fastest way to gain power. However, how painful is the pain card? Doom has experienced losing his parents once. He thinks that the so-called pain is probably similar to this level. Will the screening room attack his mother's soul? Fuck. Suddenly I realized why another orphan was dragged in. Doom thought about it and decided to ask. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 843, Taboo Number 1 in the screening room. Doom thought for a moment and asked, what kind of pain is the pain card? Losing family or? Doom's mouth was covered by Peter before he could finish his words. Okay, the first taboo in the screening room is not to mention family casually. Peter saw the people chatting happily over there and then said to Doom, the pain card depends on the person. Your pain card will only make you have diarrhea for a few days at most. Doom frowned. Can this thing really be called pain? Depending on the person? Well, it's graded according to strength. For example, if it is the same pain card, if it is a Zeus, the creator god, it will probably be a turbulent void or a star beast attacking, but for ordinary people, it may just be diarrhea, a cold, etc. Doom didn't feel like an ordinary person, but it was better to take this kind of thing lightly. After talking about the pain card, Peter looked at Doom with a frown on his face and guessed blindly that according to the screening room selection criteria, this person probably didn't have a very happy family. We have to think of a way. Janitor, I think Alice is also very important. Think about it. Alice is the descendant of Alicia, and Alicia has a group of Pokemon who can soothe Darkray's nightmares with a grass flute. Could Oration be the music played by Alice? Strange. No, it's not. The word oration first appeared in front of us in Gordy's diary. That was Tonio's underground laboratory. There, Tonio saw the sentence in Gordy's diary. For the future, I have to keep oration. Strange. If oration is a music score, then Alice learned it from Alicia herself. I don't think oration is a music score. Bruce Wayne, maybe. Oration is the Tower of Time and Space. Bruce Wayne, the Tower of Time and Space is not a building or a musical instrument at all, but a weapon. Bruce Wayne, a weapon used to target the twin gods of time and space. In the previous story, the unknown totem kept appearing, and there were many records in Gordy's diary. This is implying that Gordy has known the battle between the two gods of time and space through the unknown totem. In this case, Gordy will definitely leave a weapon to protect this world. The Tower of Time and Space is just an alias, and Eurasian is the main body of the Tower of Time and Space. Bruce Wayne, the answer is likely to be Tony or Alice, or both of them. Eurasian is a weapon. Yes, Eurasian needs to be controlled and unlocked to start. Bruce Wayne, in order to prevent someone from using Eurasian for evil, Gordy will definitely set up some defenses. As a descendant of Gordy, Alice has Gordy's bloodline. Maybe she can unlock Eurasian through her bloodline. As a scientist who knows Gordy, Tony can control Eurasian. River God, do you think the electric squirrel will be as cute as Pikachu? Tony Stark, sometimes the wisdom of the River God is fully realized. If Zyozzy and Pikachu are a pair of partners, we have already seen it. What about the electric squirrel? Arceus, an electric Pokemon. Strange, electric, yes, electric. Strange, you have also seen the picture of the music playing when the space-time tower was activated before. It requires a lot of electricity. Maybe Pikachu and the electric squirrel are important helpers to activate the electricity of the space-time tower. Constantine rarely did not smoke today, but as a bad guy, his hobby can be said to be completely out of high-level interests. If he doesn't smoke, then he drinks. Soon there are many bottles of wine in front of him. Strange's comment on this is, are you going to get stomach cancer and lung cancer at the same time, and then let the two of them clash? Logan, then, choose all four. Bruce Wayne, wait a minute. Bruce Wayne, screening room, I have a question. What happens if we choose both the right answer and the wrong answer? Points and pain cards are presented together. Bruce Wayne, then my choice is BCDG. The audience in the screening room and the live broadcast room made their own decisions. Even Arceus was no exception. It's just that Arceus's choice was blocked by the screening room. Peter Parker, why is it blocked? Dr. Manhattan, if this is a story that happened in my world, then will you be shaken after seeing my choice? Dr. Manhattan's words were like a revelation, and it also dispelled some of the choices that were going to follow Arceus to get attention. Arceus is the creator god of that world. Even if he said that he would seal his memory, others would inevitably think too much after seeing his choice. Especially when there are a bunch of smart people in the screening room, and these smart people are particularly good at thinking too much. Image continues. The dark sky curtain succeeded. It resisted the turbulence of time and space, but that's all. The two skills of Time Raw and Subsonic Severance are extremely powerful because they involve the laws of Dialga and Porkia. Correspondingly, Dialga and Porkia must fall into a certain stiffness after using this move. At the same time, this move cannot be used randomly like ordinary skills. Not only is there a CD time, but it is also quite long. In the space-time sandwich, Dialga predicted Porkia's skills. The moment Porkia used Subsonic Severance, he immediately started Time Raw. Taking advantage of Porkia's stiffness, he directly used Time Raw to hit Porkia in the face. There was no way to avoid it, and it was unstoppable to hit Porkia directly. Darkray's Dark Sky blocked the impact of the space-time turbulence, but after that, Darkray fell downwards due to exhaustion, and the edge farther away from Darkray had collapsed, because the Dark Sky arrived slowly. But this is meaningless to Dialga and Porkia. Their battle continues. Dialga spits out shiny electric cannons, while Porkia fights back with the only special attack skill in the fighting system, wave missiles. The two gods fought from close combat to long range attack, and then from long range attack to melee. They used all the moves they could use, just wanting to kill each other. No one knows why the two of them have such a deep hatred. There must be a way. By the way, Eurasian. Tonio tried to calm himself down. He remembered a sentence in Gordy's diary. He kept Eurasian, but what exactly is Eurasian? Alice took out the grass flute. In the past, she could soothe the hearts of angry elves by playing the grass flute, and now she is ready to try it again. The grass flute sounded, and the beautiful music echoed in time and space, and was transmitted to the distant future or past with the turbulence of time and space. So what about Dialga and Porkia? Dialga and Porkia are still fighting. and the battle between the two sides has turned red-eyed again, and they are directly wrestling with each other and falling downwards. Usually, the place where they fight is the turbulence of time and space. There is no direction in such a place, but now there is the variable of Bayang Town, which means they are directly smashing down Bayang Town. And below is Alice. Get out of the way. Chapter 844. This moment is just like that moment. The black and white after image teleported in front of Alice, and the energy in his hands gathered, and the spiral wave of evil rushed towards the two behemoths falling from above. Perhaps it was because Dialga and Porkia didn't pay attention to defense at this time, or perhaps it was because humans, Pokemon, or even mythical beasts could burst out unexpected power in a hurry. Darkray's wave of evil directly sent the twin gods of time and space flying. Darkray. At Alice's call, Darkray joined the battle of the twin gods of time and space without looking back. They actually flew away. Maybe the twin gods of time and space were all paying attention to each other, and they didn't expect Darkray to intervene. Why didn't the screening room add Darkray as an option? Is it because Darkray's position is just in a state of neither up nor down? Bruce Wayne. First of all, in terms of hard power, among all the people present, the only one who can be compared with Dialga, who has red eyes, is Porkia, who also has red eyes, and Porkia is still injured. Bruce Wayne, we can be sure that Arceus can definitely deal with it, and Giratina at least has the ability to intervene. These two are hard power. Bruce Wayne, and each of the remaining 5 options is a representative of insufficient hard power. They can't intervene in the battle between the two sides. Bruce Wayne, it seems that there are 7 options, but in fact there are only 2 directions. Peter Parker. In fact, the possibility of Darkray's idealistic outbreak cannot be ruled out. River God. Could it be that the screening room forgot to add Darkray's option? Image continues relying on his smaller body and excellent speed race value. Darkray dodged Dialga's shiny electric cannon with a sideways move, and then dodged the wave missile that was even more terrifying to him. People in Poplar Town looked up and watched this great battle between gods. Darkray kept moving his position, trying to find a suitable insertion point to interrupt the battle between the two guys. At this moment, Darkray has Rayquaza's heart and is doing Rayquaza's things, but he just doesn't have Rayquaza's ability. Rayquaza is a level 1 god, and he is fighting a level 1 god. Darkray is a level 2 god, and he is fighting the top level of level 1 gods, and it's in the opponent's advantageous field of time and space turbulence. It feels like, when you just leave the novice village, your Charmander encounters a level 20 Bulbasaur with a green grass field and a level 20 Squirtle using rain. At this moment, if you want to mediate, even if Giratina comes, it won't work. Unless it's Giratina's home field and the world is reversed, only Arceus can make these two bastards quiet down a little. Get out. Darkray tried to release the black hole to make the two guys quiet down a little, but the black hole, which is invincible for ordinary Pokemon, has no effect in front of Dialga and Porkia's time turbulence and space partition, and can't get close at all. Then Dialga and Porkia turned their eyes to Darkray. It doesn't matter that the two of them fought until the sky was dark and the sun and moon were dark. That was their internal fight. It's too much for you, an outsider, to interfere in their fight. According to the previous setting, the relationship between the two gods of time and space is as good as that of a couple. The Luster electric cannon and wave missile were fired at the same time. When the two of them bombarded each other, their skills would dodge because they were aiming at the opponent in the same grid as themselves. But when the target was transformed into Darkray, one could predict the future and predict all your predictions, and the other could use space lock skills to automatically navigate and lock the head and aim automatically, and even the lowest hit rate could be adjusted to 1000%. Accuracy. The Luster electric cannon and wave missile fell on Darkray one after another. Darkray blocked the Luster electric cannon in front of him, and then was hit by the combat skill wave missile that had an excellent effect on him. Black smoke came out of his body and he fell towards the courtyard like a crashed Concorde. Darkray. Alice saw Darkray falling down injured, and hurriedly chased after him. Darkray fell under a tree in the courtyard, and a circle of other elves surrounded him not far behind him. Alice walked forward, and placed her hand on the object that looked like Darkray's red collar. The blue eyes opened, and the cold pupils were a little stunned when they saw Alice. Darkrai, are you okay? Alicia? At this moment, Darkrai thought he had returned to the afternoon 100 years ago when he first met Alicia, and that time, it was also under a tree. This moment is just like that time and that moment. Alice shook her head slightly. I'm Alice. Alicia is my grandmother. Alice. Darkray's tone was a little regretful and a little lost. The people who once left can never come back. I'm sorry. So you were trying to protect the town. Darkrai, I'm sorry, we didn't notice. Picker. Everyone surrounded Darkrai and expressed their apologies. Darkrai looked up at everyone and then dived back into the darkness. The next second, he flew towards the battlefield again. I don't need an apology, nor do I need pity. All I need is to protect this place, even if the price is to bear all the evil. Dialga raised his position, and countless meteors fell from the sky. Some fell on Palkia, but more fell towards the town below. Dragon Star Cluster. Darkrai stayed below, releasing evil waves continuously, and trying to protect the town from being destroyed. At least we have to protect the courtyard. Darkrai, who was trying his best to intercept the Dragon Star group on the screen, left a very deep impression on everyone at this moment. Janitor wiped his mouth and said, if it weren't for his godhood, Darkrai would definitely be a very respected god. He is much stronger than those bastard gods I have seen. Janitor touched her mouth after saying this, and always felt that she accidentally fired a map cannon at her father. Janitor shook her head. She now has a great change of heart about her father. At least to her, her father is really trying to be a good father. This time, it would be great if I could draw the on-demand scroll. Chapter 845. Bad Frog, Basic Operations. Image continues. Darkrai rejoins the battlefield, and below, the people in the courtyard panic as they watch the town disintegrate. The dimensional wall surrounding the town has begun to collapse. If this continues, this town will disappear into the other dimension along with us. People move towards the center of the town under the turbulence of time and space that disintegrates the town. Antonio once again thinks of the diary left by Gordy. If I could know what oration is. Oration? Do you know, Alice? Yes, oration is the song that my grandma taught me to play with the grass flute. Alice takes out the yellowed photo of Gordy and Alicia, and the musical score on the back is oration. I see. Gordy left oration behind after foreseeing the tragedy that would happen in the future. But I played oration before. I understand. The sound disc. Alice suddenly realized that the sound of the grass flute she played was too low, but if she used the huge instrument of the Tower of Time and Space, then Oration's voice would be able to echo throughout the town, and it would not be a problem for Dialga and Palkia to hear oration. By then, Oration's ability to appease the angry power will be able to calm down the two gods of time and space who are constantly fighting. It seems that the key figures are Tonio and Alice. After excluding the three options with very low probabilities of Gordy, Arceus, and Giratina, and the screening room did not exclude Darkrai, a seed player who seemed to be able to explode, in order to reduce a certain degree of difficulty, as if giving benefits. As long as all four options were selected, it would be guaranteed that there would be at least no loss. Tonio led everyone to the first floor hall of the Tower of Time and Space. One of the key reasons why he had never connected oration with the song was that the research institute he was in was originally a basement for storing sundries, and the biggest function of the basement, in addition to providing a place for Tony to stay, was to store various music discs. Tonio, as the the manager of the research institute, remembered all the music discs clearly, and there was no music disc named oration in it. So Tonio could only lead everyone to the murals in the first floor hall to look for it. There were decorations made of music discs and patterns around the murals. If there were any music discs that Tonio didn't know about, there was only one possibility, that oration was specially stored here by Gordy. However, there were at least hundreds of music discs used for decoration, and none of them had names. Who knows that one is oration? Oration. Prayer. Alice seemed to have returned to a day more than 10 years ago. She and Alicia, who was still alive at the time, sat by the fountain in the courtyard. The elves living in the courtyard stayed quietly around, listening to this song. Under the shadow of a big tree, a shadow that was darker than the surrounding shadows also swayed with the beat. This song is called oration, which means prayer. Alicia told young Alice, "This is what my mother taught me before. You must remember this song well." Yeah. Thinking back to the agreement she made with her grandmother when she was young, Alice looked at the mark on the music score again. A mark that looks like a leaf. There. That's it. Alice found the most special music disc at a glance, which had a leaf picture on it. "Are you sure?" "Trust me." "Okay. Then we have to get to the top of the tower quickly. Use a hot air balloon." "Can't they take them all with them? What if something goes wrong?" "Neither time nor load bearing capacity allows it." Bruce saw through their predicament at a glance. The time and space tower is too high. It's estimated to be at least several hundred meters high. Even if there is nothing to take, few people can climb up in one breath, not to mention carrying music plates made of copper and iron. There are at least dozens of music plates there, and the combined weight of thousands of pounds is simply too much for manpower to carry. The hot air balloon is also a small one, and it won't fly at all if it carries more. Bruce said, "They are just a group of children and a civilian scientist. It's already a stretch for each person to carry 2 people, and it's difficult to gather the entire townspeople in a short period of time. They must climb the tower as quickly as possible." However, their attitude of believing Alice without hesitation really impresses me. If Bruce was there, he certainly wouldn't have believed Alice so easily. Of course, if he was really there, if there were no bad fighters, he might have directly manufactured a large number of cheap hot air balloons for saturation rescue. There is still a big problem. Those 2 guys haven't stopped yet. The video continues. Gon went to evacuate ordinary people with Miss Joy, while the 3 members of the Go3 organized trainers to protect the evacuation of ordinary people. Dialga was slapped by Porkia and turned twice in the sky. 1 slap, 2 turns. Do you know how much damage a big fight can cause to a god of time who has lived for who knows how many years? This move is not very harmful but extremely insulting. Dialga did not hesitate to dodge the wave missile after stabilizing his body, and then used a Dragon Star group in his backhand. Most of the Dragon Star groups fell on Porkia, but there were still a few Dragon Star groups that fell towards the ground. Bubble Beam, Jet Flame, Flying Leaf Blade. King Bonner, Infinape, and Tortoise all attacked at the same time to detonate the Dragon Star cluster. It might be difficult to resist, but if it was detonated by attacking, it would be okay. A meteor hit the crowd, and at this time, a bad frog who had been following Zyada Gang silently took action. With a palm push, a purple light flashed on the hands of the bad frog. I don't know what skill it used. The energy bomb exploded violently when it came into contact with the hands of the bad frog. The next second, smoke splashed everywhere, but the bad frog was unharmed. Although this was just the aftermath of a meteor from a Dragon Star cluster, it was unharmed. Zyada Gang thought about the bad frog who usually interrupted his spells on behalf of the no longer alive Zyarksha, and suddenly felt that the other party was really gentle to him. Zyada Gang suddenly looked towards the Tower of Time and Space with telepathy, where a hot air balloon took off quickly. Chapter 846, The Final Blow. Logan. But, they are a little too dangerous. Captain America. Fortunately, Dialga and Porkia are busy fighting each other and can't spare some time for a while, otherwise the whole hot air balloon would be a sitting duck. Logan, we can only pray that Dialga and Porkia won't notice them and that Darkray's cover can be timely. The image continues. For some reason, Dialga and Porkia's battle range is getting closer and closer to the space-time tower, and finally they simply go around the space-time tower and start the King circling pillar, which makes it hard for Zyos and his group who are ascending in the hot air balloon. Darkrai is by their side to escort them. The evil wave blocks the wave missiles, but it is difficult to completely block the large-scale Dragon Star group. The meteors of the Dragon Star group not only hit Darkrai, but also blow up the basket on the hot air balloon. Porkia flew past the hot air balloon, and the strong wind caused the hot air balloon to shake violently. Everyone in the damaged basket could only hold on to the remaining edges of the basket, but Hickory, who was not caught in time, was thrown out in the violent shaking. Hickory. Darkrai quickly rushed forward, hugged Hickory and put her on the climbing stairs not far away. Before everyone on the hot air balloon could breathe a sigh of relief, Dialga came again. Dialga chased Porkia's trajectory and caused the hot air balloon to shake violently again. Xiaozi, who was holding the music disc in his hand, was shaken down this time. Xiaozi. Darkrai hurried forward when he saw this, but Xiaozi, wearing a super rookie, didn't need anyone to catch him when he was facing a height of only a few dozen meters. He easily landed steadily on a decoration of the space-time tower, and the music disc in his hand was well protected. Then Xiaozi jumped again and came to the stairs where Spider-Gwen was. Except for a little pain in his ankle, he was fine. With this physical fitness, is he really not a cyborg? Seeing Xiaozi jumping from a height of dozens of meters without any injury and still having enough energy to do a double jump, the only consequence was that his feet were a little numb. Everyone felt a little incredible. Even the best stuntman in the world couldn't do that scene. Dozens of meters. Direct landing. And he landed on both feet and twice in a row. This has nothing to do with technology, it's a matter of the limit of the human body. And Xiaozi is only a 10-year-old child. The video continues. Pikachu. Xiaozi hugged Pikachu, who chose to descend with him because of the crash, with one hand. On the other side, seeing that the hot air balloon was already shaky, Alice did not choose to continue to move forward, but let the little flame monkey descend and retreat. Whether for safety or other considerations, they must quickly switch to a new basket, otherwise there will be obstacles if they continue to rise a little. Their actions were completely a gamble. The Dialga and Palkia's attacks would not fall on them. However, the increasingly fierce battle in the sky made the two beasts more angry, and Dialga directly opened his ultimate. Time Roar. When Palkia saw this move being condensed, he hurriedly dodged it. Even if he could resist it, if it hit, it would definitely make it, which was already seriously injured. Even worse. But Palkia could dodge, but the town couldn't. The blue time turbulence surged towards the earth, and Darkrai flashed in front of the time roar. He had to resist this move. The violent explosion caused a terrifying impact. Even though the hot air balloon was still some distance away from the violent explosion, it could not support it at all, and began to fall apart. Tonaya was thrown out of the hot air balloon, and Alice could only stagger in the wreckage of the hot air balloon. Finally, Alice fell off the hot air balloon and stepped on the edge of the cliff, just like before. Just as Alice was about to fall, a pink tongue wrapped around Alice's waist, but Alice still fell because of the hasty action. Alice, give me your hand. A hand held Alice's hand, and it was Tony. Tony slowly descended with the help of his elves and the balloon, and finally caught up with Alice, and rescued her with the last bit of time he had gained. Donio. Alice, who was rescued, hugged Donio and said to the big tongue licker beside him, "Thank you, Baron, you are such a good person. I'm here." Hey. Albert, who was exhausted, came from behind. He had turned back into a human. When he saw the shocked expressions on the two people's faces, he said, "Hey, what's with your expressions?" "No. Behind you." "Behind me?" Albert turned his head and found that a large area behind him had turned into nothingness. What's going on? Although the time roar was barely blocked by Darkrai and did not completely destroy the entire town, the time roar accelerated the movement of the space-time turbulence. The entire town was overwhelmed and began to disintegrate on a large scale. The safe area has become smaller and smaller, and even the central courtyard in the time-space tower have begun to show signs of disappearing. In the pool in the courtyard, Xiao Gang, with the cooperation of Swamp King, rescued Darkrai who had fallen into the pool and passed out. Everyone, come together. All the Pokémon in the courtyard, whether wild or with trainers, gathered together, and all special skills, such as water, fire, grass, and lightning, were released at the edge of the space-time turbulence. Skills cannot resist the invasion and disintegration of the space-time turbulence, but they can slow them down. Slow down. The energy in the Pokémon's body does not conform to the law of conservation of energy, but this also allows them to release energy and matter far beyond their body size at this time to slow down the speed of disintegration. Sky God Yaluka and Palkia threw skills and started close combat again. Under Alice's pleading, Darkrai seemed to have returned to that afternoon. "Have you packed? Let Alicia help you. Don't be afraid, you can stay here." Darkrai panted. This was the first time he heard someone invite him to stay in one place. "Can you?" Darkrai asked cautiously, his body trembling slightly, as if he was afraid. He was afraid that this was just a dream. He was afraid that he had heard it wrong. The girl took his hand, like warm sunshine finally shining into Clay's closed heart. This is what he has always expected, but never dared to ask for. Of course. The girl answered his question affirmatively. This is everyone's courtyard. Dong Naru looked at the two beasts that suddenly stopped. They were just in position, and the power of time and space surrounded them. This is, if these two powerful forces collide again. Dong Naru didn't finish his words, but Albert and Zio Gang beside him already knew the ending. Alice clenched her hands and prayed in her heart, and behind her, a momentum field rushed into the sky. Stop it. This is everyone's courtyard. Chapter 847. If I were to start over. Time Roar and Subseverance are launched. At the critical moment of the collision, Darkrai stands between the two forces. Darkrai. Surely, he resisted two moves at the same time. The power of Time Roar and Subseverance is obvious to all. Even the opponents who are both the gods of time and space cannot resist these two skills. Before, Darkrai resisted a Time Roar and was directly knocked unconscious. Now he can wake up, only because of the explosion. And now, what he has to do is to face the double pressure with his injured body. Diana Prince, warrior. Darkrai is a real warrior. Logan, I don't want an answer. I really think that the person who solves this problem should be Darkrai. Thanos, protecting everyone's courtyard. Can such a terrifying power burst out from ordinary wishes? Ace, Thanos, many things are both ordinary and great. Protecting your own little home is as important and great as protecting the peace of the entire universe. Doom looked at Darkrai on the screen thoughtfully. Image continues. A turbid energy surges in Darkrai's hand, and the energy forms a circular barrier around Darkrai's body, which actually blocks Time Roar and Subsonic Severance. Deception Space. Subsonic Severance has the effect of cutting off all obstacles and ignoring any guardian skills, but under the influence of Time Roar, the effect of Subsonic Severance cannot be used for a while. Darkrai knows that he can't hold on for long, so he has to fight. Deception Space Fusion. Deception Space directly merges Time Roar and Subsonic Severance into it. The Deception Space, which originally could only cover Darkrai, directly swallowed up Dialga and Palkia. After swallowing the power of time and space, the Deception Space with the ability to reverse speed directly turned into a small seal. The turbid dark energy enveloped the blue and pink colors. Darkrai released his strongest and most powerful black hole in it, completely turning the Deception Space into a subspace seal. He held on tightly in it, delaying the speed of Dialga and Palkia's escape. I said, this is everyone's courtyard. Let's go. No problem. There's only a little left. Xiaozi held the sound disc, and Xiaoguang followed closely behind Xiaozi. They didn't dare to stop for a moment, and rushed to the top of the Tower of Time and Space. This was the opportunity that Darkrai fought for them with his own life. This was Darkrai's trust in them. Darkrai used the Deception Space to cooperate with the black hole to control the two energies and the twin gods of time and space, but too strong. Ace, this is the power brought by the belief of wanting to protect everyone and important things. Wonder, but the seal doesn't work well for time and space, right? Tony Stark, in a black hole, there is no concept of space and time. Maybe that's why Darkrai was able to forcefully suppress Dialga and Palkia. Loki Odinson, although I'm very touched, don't forget that no one dares to guarantee that what they have in their hands is Eurasian, and no one can guarantee that Eurasian will definitely work. Guang, it'll be fine. Don't forget, we already knew the solution, and this incident will be perfectly resolved. Gandalf, yes. The video continues. Dialga and Palkia in the black hole began to exert their strength. Here, their time and space authority was actually suppressed for a short time, but even with brute force, they could break free. The power of time and space began to riot under the angry thoughts of the two gods, and the time and space turbulence has begun to erode the interior of the time and space tower. The injured Palkia used the power of space to break free first, and Dialga was only one step slower than Palkia. The two adjusted their positions in midair, and stared coldly at the guy standing between them. Luster Electric Cannon. Wave Missile. This time, Darkrai was no longer able to resist and could only close his eyes and accept his fate, being swallowed up and disintegrated by the turbulence of time and space. I won't let Darkrai's sacrifice go to waste. When Zyozzy came to the control panel, he found that the music disc in their hands could not be placed. Dialga and Palkia outside had already started charging again. They were charging for their ultimate move. It can't be put in. Isn't this Eurasian? No way. Seeing this, people became nervous. If they took the wrong one or guessed wrong, then all the previous efforts would be in vain, and all the efforts and sacrifices would become a big joke. And in perhaps just a few seconds or a dozen seconds, everything would be completely annihilated in the turbulence of time and space. Peter Parker, it's okay. At least they will be fine. If it doesn't work out, we are all wrong, and Arceus or Giratina or Gordy will appear to save them. Wanda, well, at least the theater won't lie. Doom's expression was already very ugly. He didn't follow Peter's instructions to choose 4 options. The worst result of choosing 4 options was to get 10 points and 3 pain cards. After careful consideration, Doom placed his bet on the scientist Tonio. But now it seems that he was wrong. But thinking that others were more wrong, Doom didn't seem to feel very bad. The audience's emotions are detected to be shaken. From now on, you have 30 seconds to switch answers. You only have one chance to re-choose. The time is only 30 seconds. Start now. This sneak attack from the theater caught everyone off guard. This was the first time that there was an opportunity to change answers. However, considering that the theater is no longer publicly updating new content at the same time, but is quietly updating it secretly and then sneak attacking, this kind of unethical thing has been done too many times and no one cares anymore. Maybe this is the previous setting and there is no chance to trigger it. Didn't no one know about the previous time when everyone answered correctly, but it gave a big surprise to a group of people. What they care more about now is these 30 seconds, whether to change the answer or not. The first one to take action was Doom. He decisively switched the answer to a Gordy and another option, Giratina. In Doom's opinion, it is definitely impossible to count on this group of people, but Arceus, as the god of creation, should not lie. He definitely didn't come, and Giratina, the god of antimatter mentioned by Arceus, is the most likely to stop the crazy space-time gods. As for Gordy, since this is a space-time turbulence, it is reasonable for Gordy to travel from the past, right? Chapter 848, End. Waiting for the Easter egg. Peter also changed his answer. He changed the original 4 options to 2, namely Zyozzy and Pikachu and Zyadaguang and Chinchilla. Compared with Giratina and Arceus who were nowhere to be found, and Gordy who could travel through time and space, Peter was more willing to believe Zyozzy and his friends. When Ganata saw that Peter had changed his answer, he thought about it and changed his answer too. The river god saw it and thought, I'm the same. Wanda thought about it and did not change the 4 options. Bruce Wayne switched the answer, removing Tonio and Alice, and adding Giratina and Arceus. 30 seconds have passed, the answer is locked, and the image continues. Zyozzy, put it in the middle. Zyadaguang noticed the center of the player, which was a place similar to a music disc, but because no music disc could be put in it, people always thought it was just a decoration. Okay. Zyozzy put the music disc on it with trepidation. This was the last hope. The Tower of Time and Space has begun to be decomposed on a large scale, but when Zyozzy put the music disc on the decorative pattern in the middle, a miracle happened. It matches perfectly. It can be done. This is the answer. Zyadaguang, turn off the power. Okay. The start switch was pulled down, but the expected picture did not appear. Insufficient power. The Tower of Time and Space has been decomposed on a large scale, and the generator has long been damaged and cannot operate normally. Gordy did not equip the player with a dedicated backup generator. It seems that Gordy did this on purpose. But why did Gordy set up 2 riddles specifically for Eurasian? No, it's not a riddle, but a protective measure. Tony said, Eurasian may have a power that we can't predict, and it is very likely that it can only be used once. Although Eurasian is a piece of music on the surface, we cannot rule out the possibility that there is some power hidden inside the music disc of Eurasian. Gordy may also be worried that someone will release Eurasian casually causing the last resort to deal with the biggest crisis to be wasted. So he arranged two protective measures. One is the Eurasian music disc hidden in the decorative music disc, and the other is a dedicated player that can only play Eurasian. Doom's face suddenly turned ugly. He put all his hopes on Arceus and Giratina. Could it be that these two children who are not even as old as him really had to save the town with a group of monsters? This is too ridiculous. Although it couldn't be started because there was no electricity, the people in the screening room were not worried about them. Instead, most of them started talking and laughing because the crisis was resolved. Yes, there was no electricity, but there's Pikachu. There's also an electric squirrel in the answer. Although it seems outrageous that two Pokemon that are not as heavy as Bruce can release enough electricity to supply the entire space-time tower, the crowd, who have enough experience and have seen more outrageous things than this, are not shocked at all. Image continues. The power of space gathers in Porkia's left hand, and the power of time gathers in Dialga's mouth. They start to fight again. This time the power is far greater than the last time. They are accumulating power. Tonio doesn't even need any instruments. Just by looking at the special effects this time, he can see that the power of this attack is far greater than the last time. No, there is no hope. Albert knelt on the ground with a pale face. I'm still young. I don't want to die. Albert, don't give up hope even at the last moment. Alice put her hand on Albert's shoulder. Believe in Xiaozi and Xiaoguang, and believe in Gordy. Go, Chinchilla. Pikachu. Please. Chinchilla and Pikachu stood on the two poles of the player, one on the left and one on the right. Looking at the player with intermittent current, Xiaoguang and Xiaozi shouted at the same time, Chinchilla slash Pikachu, Eustace charge slash 100,000 volts. Blue and gold currents poured into the player, and the huge gears began to turn. With a bang sound, the outside, does anyone know what the thing that makes a sound when it hits the steel wire in the piano is called, began to move, and under the collision, the shocking sound echoed in the space. Am I dead? Albert stared at the space-time tower in a daze. Heaven is the space-time tower. Pa. Alice raised her hand and slapped him. Albert covered his face and muttered to himself, it hurts. I'm not dead. Why is the space-time tower glowing? Light. A lot of light. Along with the light came music. Dialga dispelled the turbulence of time, and Porkia smoothed the fluctuations in space. They all stopped. Everyone was looking at the space-time tower, looking at the beautiful scene. Branches emitting golden light grew from the wings, like a small tree sprouting buds, which stretched, grew, and finally bloomed trumpet-like flowers. Light particles spread from the tower, and countless golden wings spread out on the space-time tower, like a Noah's Ark spanning despair and destruction. The light enveloped the angry space-time gods. The pearl on Porkia's arm emitted a green light, and the cracks were repaired. This is Eurasian. The huge golden Noah's Ark sailed in the turbulence of time and space. The remaining part of Poplar Town looked very much like the sacrificed Darkrai. The light wings enveloped the town. The previously decomposed buildings were restored, and Poplar Town became what it used to be. After calming down his anger and regaining his sanity, Dialga looked at his old friend, ran around the Tower of Time and Space, and deeply imprinted the boys, girls, and elves on the Tower of Time and Space in his mind, and then ran towards the distant River of Time. Porkia flew in front of Xiaozi and lowered his head, as if to apologize. He chirped and wanted to say something to Xiaozi. Porkia, you big bad guy. When Xiaozi saw Porkia coming over, his single cell attribute was online, and he showed his love to Porkia. Hurry up and restore the town. Please, Porkia. Compared to Xiaozi, who was possessed by Langsang, Xiaoguang was obviously much more polite. Knowing that he had indeed made a big mistake, Porkia did not hesitate. After getting the prop, Xiaoguang's steps, he raised his head and shouted loudly. The bright light enveloped the Poplar Town, floating in the turbulence of time and space. A ball of light appeared on the foundation of Poplar Town, and then everything in Poplar Town appeared here. It's over. The decisive battle of the Tower of Time and Space. Dialga vs Porkia in Chapter 849. Fantastic Four. The answer to this question is C. Xiaozi and Pikachu. G. Xiaoguang and Electric Chinchilla. Option B. Alice. And option D. Tonio did not solve the problem personally, but made an indelible contribution to the solution of the final incident. There is no reward or punishment for this option. Peter won, and his win was like Kinshasa Huang touching the wire, and he was numb. And Janitor, who followed Peter's choice, and the river god who saw Peter's janitor's answer also won. At this moment, Doom felt like Chennai eating peppercorns, and lost. The Battle of the Tower of Time and Space Dialga vs Porkia Easter egg online. At dusk, a group of people mourned in the courtyard for Darkrai, who sacrificed his life to protect the town and the courtyard. He had already noticed and tried to make efforts, repel the two gods of time and space, face the roar of time, and finally dragged his injured body to use the fraud space and black hole to forcibly seal the two gods of time and space for a short time, winning the most critical time for Zyozzy and his friends. Darkrai, thank you. The tears in Alice's eyes could not stop flowing down, and Zyozzy was also full of guilt. If only I could understand the meaning of Darkrai's words earlier. Everyone left one after another, but at this time Pikachu noticed something strange. Pikachu, no legendary beast can escape my Pikachu's perception. No. I saw that some people were arguing happily about whether Darkrai was a legendary beast or a mythical beast. According to the principle that, although I can't make you all happy, I can make you all unhappy, the classification result of Darkrai is alien beast. Pikachu. Pikachu quickly pulled Zyozzy and asked Zyozzy to look in the direction of his gaze. Zyozzy turned his head and saw a huge black shadow shaking on the cliff in the distance. That's it. Everyone was very excited when they saw the black shadow. They looked in the direction of the black shadow's source. At the top of the 100-meter high tower, a black figure was overlooking the courtyard. Darkrai. So you're safe. Pika. Darkrai stood on the Tower of Time and Space, and a blue light flashed in the distant sky. Decisive battle at the Tower of Time and Space Dialga vs Porkia Easter egg end. Play in 1 minute. Fantastic Four won that blue light. It seems that Dialga didn't just run away after the fight. You mean Dialga rescued Darkrai? Yes, as the god of time, it shouldn't be difficult for Dialga to rescue someone from time. Will this not cause a time paradox? But he is the god of time. It seems. That's right. Arceus is the next story about other worlds. Peter Parker, yes, but we have never heard of the name Fantastic Four. Dr. Manhattan, I think the story of the Fantastic Four is very likely related to Doom. Doom frowned. He was trying to regain his spirit after losing points for making the wrong choice. For him, failure was not terrible, and there was nothing or anyone that was worth his fear. Even if there was no way, he, Doom, would open a way himself. Dr. Manhattan, every story we have read is closely related to us. At least it is the story of the prize we won during the lottery. Dr. Manhattan, the Fantastic Four. This name is very likely a superhero organization, and Doom is very likely to join this organization when he grows up. Superhero? Doom quickly analyzed the meaning of this name. Will I be a hero? Young Doom has not yet grown into the terrifying supervillain of the future, Dr. Doom. Now he is essentially just an 11 or 12-year-old boy. Doom is attracted by the concept of superhero. Hero, it seems not bad. Tony Stark, but the title of this broadcast is much simpler. Captain America, that's right. The previous name almost wrote the content directly in the title. Peter Parker, I think that kind of title is pretty good. You can directly understand what story is being told. Since the screening room only gave 1 minute this time, the black screen soon lit up again. Fantastic Four 1. Start. In front of a skyscraper, a man in a suit holding a briefcase and a bald man stopped in front of a statue under construction. Building a 9-meter high statue for yourself is really classic Victor Doom. The bald man's complaints also opened up the man's chatterbox, and he began to comment on the statue. Obviously, this is to make the visitor feel ashamed of himself. Fortunately, it doesn't work for us. The bald man couldn't help asking, Red, why are we here? That guy is doing low-level science. The bald man's words made a group of scientists dissatisfied. You can say that a person's invention is low-level, especially in Tony's eyes, except for his Tony Stark's invention. Other people's inventions are garbage. But you can't say that science is low-level. Tony Stark, this is a member of the Fantastic Four. Is Doom going to join such a team? I don't think such a team has any future. After commenting on the Fantastic Four in the live broadcast room, Tony decisively began to preach to Doom. Of course, he had read the story of the Poison Army. Although Doom did not have any outstanding performance, his status was much higher than that of a group of superheroes. He could even be ranked beside the Poison Queen together with Thanos and Dark Phoenix, which showed that Doom was definitely a talent. Doom had no good feelings for a certain megalomaniac, but he also had no good feelings for the two people on the screen. Doom. Peter gave Hickory a look, asking Hickory to push Tony back, and then said to Doom, maybe you have difficulties, but they are difficulties that we cannot understand, but the screening room is essentially a place for mutual communication and help. Many times, the difficulties we all face in our own world are solved with the help of others, just like me. I learned magic from Mr. Strange, and then encountered the light of Noah. You can also express your opinion. This is your future. You are the one with the most say, and you will be the president of the company in the future. As the president of the company, you can't just work alone. No matter what occasions require diplomacy, let your helpers do it. You have to build up your confidence to communicate with others. Tony Stark. Chapter 850, Family Man. Doom looked at the Doom who built a statue for himself on the screen, and felt that this might not be himself. At least not his future self. Doom learned from Arceus that the same world could evolve completely differently due to different time branches. The full name of this Doom is Victor Doom, and his full name is Victor Von Doom. And his ambition is definitely not to be a so-called company president, but to master powerful magic to fight in hell, and save his mother's soul from the hands of the devil Mephisto. Could this be a magic company? Doom did not give up this idea, because it is indeed possible. If different choices lead to a world with completely different endings, then this world is a world majoring in magic, and it is not impossible that this company is actually a company that sells magic props. What's wrong? You don't seem to like this future. Peter squatted down and looked Doom in the eyes and comforted him softly. It doesn't matter if you don't want to tell us, but everyone in the screening room is a friend who helps each other. If you have any trouble, you can tell any one of us. I can't guarantee others, but if you tell me, I will do my best to help you. We are a family, Doom. Family? This word made Doom's calm heart ripple. He is now almost like an orphan. His father is missing, his mother's soul has fallen into the hands of the devil, and he lives alone. In that country, his status is not well received, and most people don't know that he is really a son of a witch. According to the story his mother told him, if a witch was discovered, she would be tied up and burned to death, so he hid his identity as a son of a witch very well, and others also regarded him as an ordinary orphan. But here, Doom felt something different. Doom can tell the difference between false and true kindness to him. Some people pity him, and some people want to abduct him. But they never have the feeling that Peter gave him. It was an emotion somewhat similar to the feeling of having a mother. Warmth was Doom's first feeling. Just like the sunshine in June. The country Doom was in a high altitude cold zone, so the temperature in June was almost the same as spring. It's a virtual country anyway, so don't worry too much, family. The video continues. So why did we come to him? Ben, don't forget, this is not the first time we've come to ask for help. Red said to the strong man Ben, Victor is not that bad, he's just a little arrogant. Another arrogant scientist. This familiar scene. Logan, is the common problem of you guys who do science arrogant? I don't think Bruce has your bad problem, although his suspicion is much more obvious than your arrogant symptoms. Tony Stark, what arrogance? I'm arrogant. I'm absolutely confident in myself. Bruce Wayne. There is no first in literature, and no second in martial arts. Science is just in between these two. No scientist would think that his or her invention is inferior to others, unless it is a crushing comparison, a dimensionality reduction attack. Of course, academic garbage produced to cheat funding, and manuscript fees is excluded. Tony Stark, my invention is what Bruce calls a dimensionality reduction attack for other researchers in this world, because I'm Tony Stark. Captain America, Tony, humility is a virtue. I really hope that you in other worlds can be a little more humble. Tony Stark, Captain, as long as he is Tony Stark, he must be full of incomparable wisdom, confidence, and charm. Tony Stark, but you, Captain, you in other worlds are not also an old popsicle. Well, although Mr. Stark is a little overconfident, he is definitely a true superhero, a brave man who dares to dedicate and sacrifice. Peter scratched his head and tried to help Stark save his image in the hearts of newcomers. Image continues. My research shows that exposure to high energy solar storms generated by the coronal solar wind may trigger the evolution of early planetary life. In 6 weeks, another cloud with similar characteristics will pass through the Earth's orbit. If research is conducted in space, it will fundamentally advance our understanding of the structure of the human genome, cure countless diseases, and extend lifespan, so that children can live longer, stronger, and healthier. Red was giving a passionate speech in a conference room. The holographic projection equipment beside him kept broadcasting images, and the man sitting in the main seat said one word coldly, "Turn it off." Red was stunned, but still tried hard to continue explaining. This is equivalent to you suddenly telling you that you don't want to do it anymore when you are about to climax. Who can stand this? Red's excitement about scientific research and his own research was much more exciting than that one. He continued excitedly, "I think I haven't fully explained my proposal." "No, it's clear enough." The man whose whole body was shrouded in darkness looked at the excited Red below and said, "You haven't changed at all. You shoulder the whole world and always want to touch the stars, but dreams can't be used to cash bills, right?" A magazine was thrown on the table. There was a photo of Red on it, and a line of words. "Red Richards is bankrupt. Captain America, Tony, you should really thank Miss Pepper, otherwise Stark Industries would have gone bankrupt earlier with your spending speed." Tony Stark, "Captain, you are just an old antique, and you don't know shit about business." Captain America, "Come on, Tony, you are an excellent superhero, a friend who would be the best friend in the world if you saw him every now and then, a genius scientist and inventor, but you are really not suitable to be a businessman. Miss Pepper asked me to tell you this." Captain America, "She said you signed 5 documents in 3 days, then chose to go out and have a good time when faced with a mountain of folders, and in the end it was Abadia who helped you clean up the mess. Why can't you learn from your father? He is more responsible than you are." Tony Stark, "I didn't expect you to tell jokes, Steve. Do you think you know Howard better than me? He has a personality. He is just a jerk." End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.